All looks good. Do I have a motion to approve those draft minutes as we received late this afternoon?
So moved.
Second.
Do we have any further discussion on this?
Nope.
Okay. So all those, we have to do a roll call vote as one of our members is here on Zoom. David Murch in favor.
Greg Dean, yes.
Tom Hennessy, yes.
Jess McConkey, yes.
Pete Lockwood, yes.
Next, moving on to new business, of which there is none. So we move on to old business. Application of Christopher Curran for a conditional use permit. Board will be continuing its deliberations in this matter. There will be no public comments permitted at that time. Public portion of this matter was closed July 28th, and the board began its deliberations at that time. So the item is currently tabled. Do I have a motion to untable that application?
So moved.
Second.
Do we have any further discussion before we vote?
Nope.
Okay, all those in favor of untabling, David Murch, yes.
Greg Dean, yes.
Tom Hennessy, yes.
Pete Lockwood, yes.
Jess McConkey, yes.
Okay, so with tonight, we do have a new member, official member of our board. Jess McConkey has joined us. He was approved by the select board several weeks ago. He has subsequently been sworn in by our town clerk. And in terms of tonight's discussions with regards to this appeal, Jess has written and signed a sworn affidavit as to his ability to participate in these discussions. Jess, I know you have a copy of that. Can you just read that out loud for the record?
Yes, I am a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals of the town of Raymond. The board is in process of hearing and deciding an application submitted by Christopher Curran and dated June 26, 2026, seeking approval of a conditional use permit home occupation for private membership wine fulfillment service at 97 Swans Road, map 24, lot 50, in an LRR1 zone. On July 28th, 2026, the board held a public hearing and began deliberations on this application. At that time, I had not been appointed to the board. However, I was personally in attendance and heard everything presented and discussed. Since that meeting, I've done the following in an effort to familiarize myself with the information presented and discussed at the meeting. I have reviewed the video recording. I have reviewed the application and documentation originally submitted to the board. I've read the draft minutes of July 28th, 2026 meeting. Having reviewed the above described materials, I believe I have become sufficiently knowledgeable about the information presented and discussed at the board meeting to allow my participation in the proceedings related to this application and in an informed and objective manner. Accordingly, I make this my affidavit as a record of facts recited in it.
Thank you, Jess.
Thanks.
So again, that was a written and sworn affidavit, which was also notarized. Also have an official statement here as well. The board acknowledges receipt of Mr. Curran's letter dated August 13th, 2026, and received on August 19, 2026. Having closed the evidentiary portion of the meeting on July 28th, 2026, the board will not be considering this information. At the July meeting, Mr. Curran was given ample opportunity to request the application be tabled to allow submission of additional information, and he clearly stated that he wanted the board to proceed with its deliberations. So we have also subsequently received the from Wayne Jones, the fire life safety inspection form, which I greatly appreciate, Wayne. Thank you very much. I'm hoping you can stick with us for a little while. If that's not an option, we'll try to get questions to you sooner rather than later. But
no problem.
okay, thank you. we did leave this off with some open questions. We primarily tabled this appeal to get this life safety report and how it may impact the things that we're looking at with regards to the ordinances. Having had opportunity really just to have a month off from this, not really say a month off, but a month's time frame, I do believe that I think it's important in helping us to review some of these ordinance requirements to actually review the definition of what a home occupation is in the shoreland zone, and then from there define specifically what the home occupation is agreed upon by our board here. And then once we agree upon what the definition is, move forward with our deliberations based on that definition. Does that seem reasonable to everybody?
Yep.
Okay.
Did we have a definition prior?
We did, but it came from, it was read out loud, and it came from the land use as opposed to the shoreland version, and the shoreland is slightly different, and our ordinances state that if there's a discrepancy between the two, the shoreland one will take precedence. So, seems to make sense to, again, go review that particular definition, define specifically what this home occupation is, and once we have that clear definition, make our deliberations consistent with that definition. So, from the shoreland zoning, Article 8 definitions, 8.2, it's got terms defined. So this is 350.-8.2, terms defined. It's all alphabetical, and if you scan down, you'll see home occupation. Home occupation is defined as an occupation or a profession which is customarily conducted on or in a residential structure or property, and which A, is clearly incidental to and compatible with the residential use of the property and surrounding residential uses, and B, employs no more than 2 persons other than family members residing in the home. So, number one, we need to determine what's being proposed. Does that fit this definition? So my goal is to establish a definition of what this business is and the occupation that we're looking at. I did review, again, this is a board exercise. I don't want to really call it an exercise. This is a board discussion, so we determined this together. But I did review Mr. Curran's original submission, his application, and with that, tried to pull out I see a few things that I feel we need to consider. One, this was on page 3 of 20, where he's giving his executive summary. It says the nature of the proposed use. The proposed use is a private members-only wine club in which members pay an annual subscription fee and place wine orders online or by phone in advance of a scheduled fulfillment dates. And then on page 5, it talks about the operations of the property. And it's talking about using the garage exclusively for receiving distributor deliveries of wine inventory, storing inventory inside the structure, assembling prepaid member orders prior to scheduled fulfillment, and finally loading orders into a licensed delivery vehicle for off-site distribution. So if I look at nature of proposed use on page 3, operations of the property on page 5, I'm just thinking in regards to this home occupation, is the definition a private members only? I don't think we can call it a wine club because he talked about malt beverages as well. So perhaps a liquor club with online orders, phone orders. The business itself includes receiving deliveries, storing inventory, assembling orders, loading orders for off-site distribution. Just thinking out loud, is that, I really do think we need to have a definition. How do we, are those things, I believe they're relevant, how do we craft them into an actual definition of, similar, we had that one,
Yeah. We've had a Secretary of State filing that, which
Yes,
is, yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it makes it a little easier, but, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Dave.
No,
It was just,
I appreciate that clarification, because
Yeah.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
kind of backtracking to here.
Along that same vein, I mean, I think the definition is exactly what you called out, which is that first sentence. The proposed operation is a private members-only wine club in which members pay an annual subscription fee and place wine orders online by phone in advance of scheduled fulfillment dates. I mean, I think that satisfies it in a similar way we took the business owner's description from the Secretary of State's
Yep.
filing.
Now, I'm not sure I'm comfortable with the wine club after having, like, this was his original proposal, and then we discussed it more, and he talked, it goes beyond wine.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, should this be modified to something wine and malt beverages or whatever it was? Or do we just say, or, I don't want to say specifically wine because there's multiple licenses
Alcoholic
involved.
beverages,
Yeah,
something.
I'm just gonna,
Yeah, I'm sort of indifferent. So I'd take your if sharpening it a little bit to wine and malt beverages makes people more at ease. I think that's reasonable. I just not so sure. Liquor is a different.
agreed.
It's a little bit
Yeah.
different. I think
How
wine,
about,
beer, and wine are usually a little bit lower.
I have to remember what it was. It was,
If you
It was-
look in his thing under paragraph 3.3, it says the sale and transportation of alcoholic beverages.
licensed premises, yeah.
Page 5, 3.3.
I'll say, yeah, alcoholic. Then we have, he's talked about, it was only two licenses he's looking for the state of Maine.
He's talking about
Wine,
sorry.
wine and malt liquor. That's what he's proposing to sell.
Yeah.
In addition to, he said there were some other items that he needed to sell. But he didn't really elaborate what they were, other than I think it was $1,000 plant. So,
I interpret the 3.3 to be citing the Maine Code of Rules, Chapter 103-3.
right.
And I interpret 1.1 of his executive summary to be him describing his proposed operations of his business.
Agreed. What if we just tweak it, so members only wine, it says members only wine club, what if we modify it to members only wine and malt liquor, because those are the two licenses he's applying for. Off-premise wine retail license and off-premise malt liquor. Would everybody be okay with that?
Yeah, indifferent here.
Tom?
Yeah, I'm okay.
You okay with that, Pete?
I am okay with that, David.
Okay. So at this point, then, we'll move forward with the definition of the home occupation being a private members-only wine and malt liquor club in which members pay an annual subscription fee, place wine orders online or by phone in advance of scheduled fulfillment dates. Okay. So now we have at least now we have a definition. Moving forward with that definition of the business, we have to decide how does it fit the definition and the shoreline of a home occupation. So an occupation or a profession which is customarily conducted on or in a residential structure or a property, and there's two other conditions, but I guess there's, yeah. So is a private members-only wine and malt liquor club a occupation or profession which is customarily conducted on or in a residential structure or a property?
Yeah, I think as long as the orders are online, it seems to be. That would be my. I think if it's you're running a wine club out of your house and it's in person, that would be. I would say incompatible and not incidental. But online sales of goods and services, I think, are customarily conducted out of residential property.
Yeah, which is why, so the business is actually, it's a little bit more than just online sales. It also includes, that's why I wonder if we need to expand the definition a little bit, because it also includes receiving of inventory, storing of inventory, assembling of inventory, and then loading and redistribution of the inventory. So it's a little bit more than just online sales.
Yeah, it's a distribution club or facility, right?
That is how I heard it to be described, yes. It includes taking the orders and then doing more with it than just that. So, I'm not 100% sure how to look at the customarily conducted on or in a residential structure. So sure, I definitely get the online sales part of it. And I can even get, let's just say, have a business in which, crafts business, where you're making crafts, you have an online store, you have an inventory in your garage, you're using that, and you're packaging it, you're distributing it, you know, through the mail service or whatever. But this one's a little different because we're actually, it's been described as receiving up to 5 to 10 deliveries per month. No, excuse me. No, it was 4 to 5 every other week. So 8 to 10 per month deliveries in. Then the exact same number of deliveries out with 20-minute delivery times for each delivery, 30-minute delivery times out.
I think that was like if his business was doing really well, right? Like if you're selling lots of crafts, for instance, you would expect more deliveries than if you were selling
Would
fewer
you?
crafts.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
And if he's using his personal vehicle, you can't fit in as much as a box truck delivering potentially on pallets or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So probably more, out deliveries than in.
Yeah, but I do think I do recall, and I actually found it here in the operational framework on delivery, the distribution method is off-site. So
Oh, right, yes.
yeah, so he's meeting either delivering door to door, so he's not distributing it locally at the structure.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just assembling it
Yeah.
and loading it for subsequent off-site distribution. But I still want, again, it comes down to, is this a business which is, or occupation, which is customarily conducted on or in a residential structure? To me, I think about this, like if I said, I have a business which is exactly as described, a wine club, I have lots of inventory, I have 200 cases delivered per month, 200 cases go out per month, this is stored on site, remote delivery, and then you say that I do this all out of my personal property. Would you be like, whoa, really? I mean, to me, if it was like crafts, I can better see that as being something that would be done at a residential structure because the person's assembling the crafts there. Most likely, to me, I'm not 100% convinced that this is a occupation or business that would be customarily conducted on a residential structure, like in a neighborhood. To me, this seems more of a commercial thing. And I'm not saying that I'm 100% right on this. I'm just saying I'm struggling with the customarily conducted in a residential structure. And I don't know that we received any information from the applicant to help us better decide that. He didn't come to us with any, anything, stats or whatever, stating that, this particular business fits this definition. That's what I'm struggling with. Customarily and residential. Those are the two words for me right there.
Yeah, I think like,
So he's running the distribution from his residence though, right? Like that's,
no, he's doing the distribution off-site at designated pickup locations or by door-to-door delivery.
It's essentially he's establishing it's a warehouse type sort of
Right.
deal, receiving it basically unboxing, repackaging, reloading, and then subsequently distributing it to off-site.
offsite from his property.
Correct, yep.
See, my mental model here is he has a garage that he orders and stores inventory in.
Yep.
He has a process that's proprietary to his business that transforms inventory that he purportedly buys at wholesale and sells at a markup.
Sure.
He sells that mostly online and does distribution off from his property. Whether or not that inventory is wine or malt liquor, I'm not so convinced matters versus crafts. And so is there something in particular about crafts, to use your example, that is customary, makes it more customary?
It's more so it's the liquor aspect, because this involves state licensing at multiple portions. He's got to get a wine license, he's got to get a malt liquor license, and there appears to be potentially another type of licensing specific to delivery vehicles. So that's where, to me, it takes it to a different level.
Is it the fact that he you don't think he'll get the licenses?
Oh, no, it has nothing, to me, it doesn't matter if he gets them or not. It's just, I'm trying to fit it into, like I said, those two words, customary and residential. And to me, I haven't heard enough evidence or anything to go on into the record to say that this is something that fits that. To me, this is more of, it doesn't seem residential activity. It doesn't seem like something that would typically happen in a residential community.
Well, that's not what that's not how I'm interpreting A is.
Well, I'm not looking at A. I'm
Okay.
looking at the very first. I think A is a separate topic.
Okay, I see.
It's just,
Okay,
yeah,
okay. So
that
you're
very
talking
first
about,
sentence.
okay,
Yep, and I agree with you, Greg, that there are aspects of this I 100% agree with.
okay,
Yeah.
all right, that helps focus it on where you are. Let me just give me a second. I mean, are there any occupations like isn't that the whole point of the conditional use is that it's not customary? I sort of understand the depends on how strict you want to think about. An occupation or profession, which is, I mean, I think selling inventory that you warehouse in a garage is out of your online is pretty customary in my mind.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
don't disagree with that. It's just the whole licensing level of it. I mean, it's basically something that's controlled at the
Yeah.
state level. And to me, that falls more under a commercial sort of activity that I would not expect to be something customarily run in a residential area, on a residential structure or a residential property.
Well, I mean, there are licenses, all sorts of licenses for all sorts of occupations. I'm not so sure that the license, I mean,
Yeah,
could be-
childcare.
you could be securities you could be a broker and need a license and
And I don't disagree,
Yeah.
but again, I'm focusing customarily residential. Those are the two big things for me, because we're, those words were put there specifically in this definition for a reason. I need to make sure, at least for me, that I'm meeting the intent of this definition. Like if I came to you and said, I want to start a firearm business, I want to sell firearms and ammunition,
Yep.
out of my home, and I'm gonna do it in my garage. I got a gigantic garage. I'm gonna stock it up full with all this stuff. And to me, that would not be something that's customarily done in a residential spot. I'm not saying it couldn't be done, but the home occupation is something which is defined as customarily done in a residential structure. And I don't see the, securing of firearms, ammo. And I know that this application is not for that, but it's just kind of some additional thought I'm going through with this.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand why it has an elevated sensitivity or there's an elevated sense of concern.
Yep.
Because it's a controlled substance. I don't interpret that just personally as part of our purview. I think there's federal and state authorities that regulate those types of things, and I there are, just because it's a regulated activity doesn't make it something that's not customary to do in your residence
Right.
as a home occupation, in my mind.
Well, let me ask, I'll flip it just a little bit.
Okay.
And just say, did you hear any evidence from the applicant or through our public proceeding which indicated to you that this is something that's customarily conducted on or in a residential structure?
Yeah, so what I'm basing I'm heavily indexing on the fact that this seems like this operation is an online business, mostly, with distribution that happens off-site. And there's inventory that comes and is delivered. So that's, I think, a lot of, if we were to take that broad set of features and say, there's a business where I want to buy things, I want to buy inventory, store it in my garage, sell it online, and either ship it or deliver it in person door to door. If you were to say that that is not an occupation or profession which is customarily conducted in a residence, I think I just disagree with that. I think that the fact that it's online makes it customary. Then the storage is in a garage. I think if you're like, okay, I've got 1,200 square feet and I'm using my statutory limit to floor to ceiling to store, and then I have people coming, like there are those aspects. I think that nothing stands out in my mind. I do get your point on it on the licensing, but I think that to me it seems like an online business is customary in a residence.
Right, but I do believe it goes a little bit beyond just an online business, because there is just online businesses where you have no inventory at your property, but this is an online business with on-site inventory.
But in a garage, I think that matters.
Yeah, but it could potentially be in the home too. I mean, they have that option of it being in the home.
Not all online businesses require proof of age of 21 or some other things that go with selling it. Right?
Yep.
So I don't know how cannabis is handled like this, but are there any home occupations growing cannabis and selling it out of their garage or something?
I believe so.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
I believe we-
probably a lot of
I actually,
I don't know. I meant in a residential area. That's what I'm.
I actually believe we had a firearms dealer too out of a
yeah.
resident. They're gone now, but there was one at one time.
Yeah.
So this clearly isn't just a Greg Dave discussion. I'd love to hear what you other guys may have to say.
Well, I think I voiced like the last one. I have some concerns about alcohol in general in a residential neighborhood. you know, that's really in a garage. And it's not necessarily under tight lock and key kind of thing. I don't know. I have the same concerns that it's not necessarily something that a lot of people would want in their neighborhood. And I just my opinion, but.
Jess or Pete?
Yeah, Dave, I was gonna say, I mean, I think I follow your line of thinking as far as customary, but for me, there's an entrepreneurial aspect to this idea, and that alone, definition of an entrepreneur, takes it away from customary. And, you know, I personally, I don't see a problem with this.
I kind of feel like we're getting hung up on some of the, you know, with the alcohol and things like that. I'm not sure that is something that we need to have our eyes open as wide on, compared to, you know, other entities selling what they're selling. I'm not sure that should be something tipping the scale, so to speak.
Okay. I will take the moment, though. The other thing that has come to mind with this is, and I don't know if this is the right time to discuss that, but I think we need to discuss it at some point tonight, is that there is state licensing involved with this. We saw at a minimum there is Class 7 off-premises wine retail licensing and Class 6 off-premises malt liquor licensing. And we never got, we as a board have no idea what those licensing requirements are. And I know there are lots of aspects that wouldn't matter to us. However, I'm a little concerned that not knowing what the licensing requirements are, let's put it this way, in our zoning requirements, land requirements, there's not supposed to be any sort of, let's say, outside glare or whatever. If the licensing requires on-property floodlights, if we approve this, goes through, but the state requires them to have floodlights now. So we've approved something which really shouldn't have been approved because the licensing aspects of this, of which we don't know, require something that goes against what the ordinances say. I also don't know if the licensing is, like, if this passes with a permit, is the entire property fall under the licensing? Or is it a portion of the property? What does the licensing require? You know, does it require fencing around the property? You know, so right now I'm having a hard time considering even approving this potentially until I know specifically what is involved with the Class 7 and Class 6 licensing, because they could have requirements that are in conflict with what the zoning requirements are.
You know, I think this goes back, before this ever got to the board meeting, I was asking Sandy whether we would need a lawyer involved to advise us on opening up a liquor store in a residential area.
No, it's not a liquor store.
Distribution
It's not,
center.
it is not a distribution center. It's neither of those. We just very succinctly defined it. Let's call it what it is.
Oh, yeah.
China. So the Class 7 license, it's pretty skinny, what the requirements. It's basically eligible premises. It says it's really three things. It says type of liquors which can be sold, so Class 7 wine consumed off premises. The fees, $200 for the year. Eligible premises, Off-premises retailers with a qualifying stock of groceries, compatible merchandise, or combination of both is described in section 201. It just kind of goes over groceries and stuff like that, and that's it. That's the state statute.
Yeah. What about the class 6?
It's pretty much the same thing. I'm pretty sure it's almost identical. That's a 6A, which is malt liquor, and it's exactly the same thing.
What was the part about the groceries?
So a qualifying stock of groceries, compatible merchandise, or combination of both. So I think that's where he gets the $1,000 worth of merchandise, and they give a subsection, and it's kind of compatible merchandise: tobacco, newspapers, greeting cards, paper products, cut flowers, glasses, stemware, food stuff. Does not include gas, oil, new cars, stuff like that. But I mean, pretty much. I mean, groceries, cut flowers, other equal items compatible with a stock of malt liquor. So
Yep.
you could be selling beer glasses and wine glasses. So, yeah.
So it's. Okay, well, I'm still not 100% convinced that this is customary for residential, but I'm not gonna, hold things up. This occupation, is it clearly incidental to and compatible with the residential use of the property and the surrounding residential uses? There's really two items to look at, one of which is it incidental, that's number one, and number two, is it compatible? So, incidental, I guess the only way I can look at it is ultimately, is the property gonna be known for the residents, or is the property gonna be known for the wine club? And I see no indication to indicate that it would be known for the wine club. It's his home, and he's using the garage as a business opportunity, and it's isolated to the garage. So I do believe this to be something that's clearly incidental. I don't see that it overtakes the property and that the property is now going to be known.
Yeah.
This is the wine club residence.
Signage,
Or
no
wine club,
signage.
yeah.
Yeah, I think if this is where, like, if you didn't have the garage for inventory storage, you might be not clearly incidental, but I think I agree with you.
About the rest of you guys? Pete?
Agreed.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to take over the
Yeah.
residents.
Yeah, I don't get that impression either. What do you think, Pete?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's going to take over the property in any way.
Okay. And then we have, now, is the business going to be compatible with the residential use of the property and the surrounding residential uses? I really think the only, the two big takeaways on this one is you've got deliveries to and deliveries from. We agree that deliveries to are incidental to the business, but they are, 10, up to 10 deliveries per month, 20 minutes per delivery, in trucks on the scale of appliance delivery trucks. And then you've got similar outgoing, but not on the same scale of truck. I mean, I feel it can be compatible, at least at that scale. I do wonder though, if I look at as I look at this, is there gonna be a tipping point for me? Like if he's getting, if his business doubles, that brings us to now 20 deliveries too, which is, what, 4 deliveries per week, essentially, of larger sized trucks. Does that now sort of alter the residential aspect? You know, now there's 4 regular deliveries each week. You know, where I live, I'm not expecting to see inventory deliveries of that scale on a regular basis. But as currently defined, I don't see it as not being, I do believe it to be compatible, but I do believe it's something that also may need consideration, especially if it gets approved, of potentially a condition. I don't know. I feel like that's something we gotta consider. It's the scope and scale, because scope and scale could be the whole garage.
I think scope and scale covers a lot of my concerns.
Yeah.
In general, but certainly there's a scope and scale which is not compatible. I hope that he achieves that scope and scale, but I hope that he does it outside. So, like, you know, I think just we have to be honest about, you know, it's not unlimited scope and scale that could be compatible. I think it's a fair point. I like your idea of maybe a condition on scope and scale, I guess. But as it's described, it doesn't seem compatible. I mean, something that would be incompatible would basically be, my understanding of it would be that it would impede its use as a residential property. There's nothing at the proposed scope and scale, at least that we discussed in our previous meeting, that I think is, we would impede the nature of that property or the surrounding properties.
Yeah.
But with the asterisk of, you know, there is a scope and scale that does.
And would he need a larger storage place, you know,
Yeah.
at that point?
Yeah. I mean, I assume, like any business, if it's going well, he wants, I mean, I'm getting, you know, I would be surprised if he wanted to maintain it, you know, scope and scale.
Sure.
The demand was exceeding his capacity, and he didn't want to do something different.
Yep.
That would be surprising to me, but I can't speak for him, and I don't think he commented on it. I think he did mention
I think
something.
he did say that it would.
Yeah, if he grew it, it would be like a storage facility somewhere else. So, yeah, he did comment on that. Now that I think about it.
So the
Yeah,
one,
he said this was like proof of concept
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
go somewhere else if it worked out.
Exactly. Yeah.
so with a conditional use, Jess, if it's approved, it runs with the property. So if Mr. Curran subsequently sells his property next year and the new owner comes along, you know, he has that ability to do the exact same thing in his home. It doesn't follow the owner, it stays with the house. So we have to, as we go through this, be in consideration of, yes, we've heard a business plan, but if we just blindly approve a home occupation for a wine club with no limitations, and all of a sudden it could be the full garage, 100 deliveries per week. There's nothing,
Right.
you know, that would stop him from doing that, because he's been approved to do that. So that's part of it, is we have to sort of, yes, we heard what the business plan is, but the reality is there's an
Have to
aspect
work
to
with that
it.
property.
We have to work with, like, what kind of, like, I don't want to call them worst case scenarios, but what potentially is the max that we would have to consider. Because we have, in my opinion, we have responsibility to not just the applicant, but also to the residents of Raymond, to ensure that we're applying the ordinances well. And people don't want us to say, hey, why did you approve this, commercial level enterprise here as a home occupation,
I mean, to your point, or I think to your point, if you look at his operational commitments offered as binding conditions, there are several under there. There are several in there that I think are material in terms of, like, this particular question, in terms of operational footprint. Obviously, we haven't gotten there yet, but I can foreshadow a little bit for B, annual reporting, existing accessory structure versus, some sort of expansion plan. So
What page are you on?
this is page 3 of 20. It's in their operational framework.
Oh, that's
Commitments, or operational commitments offered as binding conditions.
Oh, I gotcha. Got it.
So there are several in there that he's voluntarily providing as sort of maybe softball conditions that we could, well, softballs in terms of us articulating the conditions, but
Sure.
maybe not softball in terms of adhering to them. I mean,
Yep.
so
I was just wondering if you could put a condition that if the use was abandoned for a certain amount of time, that it voids out the conditional use.
I don't know. I mean, I would prefer to do that because I'd rather things change over time,
Right.
2 or 3 owners down the line come along, it's like 20 years later, oh, I can do this business. What does it look like 20 years from now? So, yeah, that's a good point. Okay. So B, last item on this definition, employees no more than 2 persons other than the family members residing in the home. I mean, that one's a non-issue. He already indicated that.
Yep.
So, yeah, so we'll move forward. I'll put a tiny asterisk next to whether it meets the definition. The asterisk is purely for me, but A, have a note here to consider scope and scale in terms of a conditional condition.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So at least now I feel better that we have a definition and that we know what our definition is supposed to look like. So, because we do have Wayne here, I kind of like to transition over to this report if nobody thinks as long as everybody thinks that's an okay transition.
Just advance to I and J.
Is that?
Just advance to
Oh, yeah, I guess that would be fine, yeah.
Yeah, do them out of alphabetical order.
Yeah, I just don't want to take up Wayne's time. So do you have I and J there, Greg?
Yep. You want me to
Too
read
much
them?
paper.
Or you- Line 2.
And if you don't, that's okay, I can track them down.
Yeah. So we're talking about land use. This is 300-9.1, conditional uses I and J. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I reads, will not create a hazard to either pedestrians or vehicular traffic on the roads and sidewalks serving the proposed use as determined by the size and condition of such roads and sidewalks, lighting, drainage, intensity of use by both pedestrians and also vehicles, and the visibility afforded to pedestrians and the operators of motor vehicles. And the reason why that is part of Wayne's, we have it in the notes to follow up with Wayne, is we wanted to understand how that would impact fire safety. And then J is, I think, maybe what we were talking about when we mentioned I, but I'll read it, is will not overburden police, fire, and rescue services as determined by response time, accessibility to the site of the proposed use, and numbers and types of emergency personnel and equipment presently serving the community. All conditional use applications shall be reviewed and approved by the Fire Rescue Department for compliance with all applicable fire and life safety codes and ordinances. Amended 6/14/22.
Yeah, so Wayne, when we were going through our review last month, we just had those couple of zoning requirements, and we wanted to wait and see what your report might show us in terms of potential for you know, the hazards to pedestrians or vehicular traffic, as well as essentially what's in this report about overburdening police, fire, rescue services and stuff. So I think our J is somewhat considered, is already covered by your report. So I know you don't have our ordinances in front of you, but our item I that we're looking at is whether or not this business will create a hazard to either vehicle or pedestrian traffic of the roadways. And I think there was one item in your report which talked about a low-hanging wire, which was noted. I just want to confirm from you, is that the only item that you noted in terms of your fire and safety inspection specific to hazards for traffic or pedestrians?
So there was that item, the low hanging one, and delivery vehicles not being able to get underneath it, or fire apparatus with the height that it was at when I was there on the 19th. The second thing, to try to answer your question, which I looked at a little bit, is the delivery trucks are going to come in, and then they're going to have a place to turn around and back down into the driveway. And I don't know what the plan is for that.
Right. And I think it was, and the board can correct me if wrong, the intent was for, well, I don't know, was it fully described to us during the proceedings as to what the delivery to was going to look like? I know we talked out loud that the side driveway was not really an option because that's another property. So it's really going to have to be, I believe it was confirmed, deliveries to that particular parking lot in front of the garage.
That was it.
I don't remember that being the only option. I think he was intending to put it down the driveway.
He said he would if that was an option afforded to him, but I don't know that it can be because that's another property, and I don't know if I'm particular, I mean.
When we discussed it, it was the driveway in front that was going to be used for delivery because we deleted that as an available spot for parking. We
Yeah.
basically didn't consider the one spot for delivery.
Yeah. So I
So
don't think the side,
You're talking in front of the garage,
Yeah.
at the
Right.
upper level.
yeah, the upper level, the side, lower level side one, I think is kind of shouldn't be
Yeah.
considered because it's on another property.
That he owns, though.
Right.
True, but it's
It goes
the
with the
home occupation
property,
that runs with the property.
Yeah.
And if it gets sold, split,
So,
I come along and buy it, it's like, I don't,
right.
I can say, hey, I don't really want you having distribution trucks coming down my driveway.
So Wayne, the low-hanging wire, is it on Swan's Road, or is it in his driveway leading to his house?
So it's on Swans Road. It actually is leading to, because he has both 93 and 95, is that correct?
Yeah.
That he owns?
Yeah.
And it's the property before his property where the wire runs to. The wire would actually be lower if it wasn't hanging on a branch
Wow.
to keep it up. And out at the street, it's still, where it crosses the street, where at the street it's required to be that 13 feet 6 inches, and it was definitely not 100% sure we could get a fire truck with an aerial ladder down with that wire the way it was.
So-
Is it
so-
telecommunications? Do you know what the wire was?
Yeah, I believe so.
It's telecommunications.
So it's not a CMP line, it's something
No.
else, yeah.
But no matter what, we're gonna respond to a call for wire down to the truck got into it.
So during our meeting, it was determined through the applicant that the deliveries would be at that upper level, in that 3-car parking spot. That's where the deliveries would be.
What, to be able to fully answer your question, where was the truck gonna turn around?
Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
Sorry. So I understand the truck's gonna come in and deliver to that upper parking lot. But where's the truck gonna turn around to do that? Either to stop and deliver or to turn around and come back and deliver.
That was never discussed.
Yeah. I think there's places to do it, but it's not on his property.
Is that something that you specifically have to consider when you, I assume you have to go back and re-inspect, right, to ensure? Is that particular item something that you need to review when you do this, when you go back?
Yeah, because I really didn't review it when I was there for my inspection because I didn't understand the requirements of I. I knew about Jack, but I didn't know about the requirements for I. So I didn't really look at that, except for the low-hanging wire just stood out. It was really clear.
Yep.
On that.
Okay. And I have one other question for you. I noticed in some of the report, it talks about essentially phase one operations. And like in this case, I'm looking at the bottom of page 5, word construction, and it says means of egress is adequate for phase one operations. And then in parentheses, 120 square feet of storage of wine in the basement level. So is this report essentially assuming a phase one type operation with that essentially size of storage?
So I inspected the property twice. Once with the board on the site walk. And then the second time was a separate fire department inspection, which was on the 22nd of July. Yeah, lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah, the phase. So when I was there for the second inspection, he was talking to me about his concept, kind of like he's discussed with the board at your last meeting of this is like a trial thing that he wants to do. And at the time, we were talking about 120 square feet of the basement along the north wall. So what we were talking about as far as some of the fire protection, life safety requirements, we would do a phased approach, probably a 3-phased approach. Have a written agreement, memorandum of agreement signed by us and Mr. Kern as to, for different square foot areas of that lower level of that basement level of the garage, what he would need to have for fire protection. So that's what that's referring to.
Okay. So if we were to review this report, is this report essentially for a phase one operation? And then would there need to be like a subsequent review by yourself for like phase 2?
Yeah, so a couple of things. One, understand, apparently at meeting, the percentage of the garage that we use for this storage and distribution was understood at the time to be 120 square feet. And apparently he can have more of that space. And I would assume that he'd want to use more, which would have higher requirements.
Got it. Okay, so so just to be clear though, in our evaluation tonight, this report is really just based on a phase 1, 120
Correct.
square feet review
Correct.
of the property. Okay.
Now
big
we
is the-
need to do a follow-up inspection.
What's the total size of the structure again? Remind me.
You remind me.
54, I think.
24 by 26, 2 levels. The old days when I used to be able to do math, and now I gotta get a calculator.
Oh, I can do it for you. 24 by 26,
Yeah, 2 levels.
624 times 2, 1248.
So 624 times
So it's
624. It's about 20%. Oh yeah, 20% of the 120 would be 20% of the basement or the first floor.
20% of the first floor, yeah.
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 Would be 20% of the second floor. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
It's your 120 square feet, Wayne, is, that's total. So if combine both, all the floors, it's not 120 square feet per floor.
Can you say the dimensions were 26 by 24?
The building dimensions, yeah, are 26 by 24, and it's, yeah, the 2 stories. So it's kind of like the space available is twice that.
Yeah.
Right. So if I understand correctly, what we're talking about is if he fully used the basement level for his business operation, we're talking 624 square feet.
Yep.
Am I correct in that?
Yep.
Correct, yep. And I know some of that you said it had to be off limits because he's got electrical stuff down there and some other things. So obviously he couldn't use the full amount, but. So if the board were to look at this report in terms of complete use of the first, or the basement, or the first floor, the lowest level flooring, can we do that, or do we, is this really, do we need to look at this as specifically that 120 square feet, or 120, what was it? 120
Yeah.
square feet. That's what we need to focus on, right?
Right, because I would have had more violations
Yep.
if we were dealing with more of the space.
Oh, okay, that's good to know.
It's a potential scope and scale
Yeah.
A
threshold.
lot, there's a lot of categories in my report that I designated non-applicable,
Yep,
but I had a note of, what it means at phase 1, and then it's gonna mean something different, more than 120 square feet.
got it. Very, very helpful. Board, do you have any questions for Wayne?
Not here.
Wayne, I saw the thing about removing the plastic sheathing over the, I'll say the joists. Because that's a flame hazard, is that the issue?
Yeah, flame spread.
Okay.
And when you're dealing with malt liquor that has a higher alcohol content than beer or wine, so, your flammability or combustibility level is higher with malt liquor. We don't know what the percentages are gonna be. Yeah, the poly on the ceiling is a flame spread hazard.
And is there fire stops between the basement and the upper floor?
Right, if there's any penetrations between the basement level that goes up to the upper floor, they need to be sealed appropriately in accordance with the code. I don't know, I wasn't really looking really hard at that particular item, but I'm assuming with the electrical being downstairs and electrical equipment upstairs, that there's some penetration.
So would that include a fire door on the interior staircase?
Depends on how much of that first floor level that we utilize for the business. I was happy with at 120 square feet, not requiring any sheetrocking or a rated door, but if we go higher in that, that's something we'll need to reevaluate what the protection requirement will need to be.
Can I ask
Just-
Jason, have you been there to actually see this thing?
I haven't.
Okay.
Just to clarify, I'm still not sure if I 100% got it. It's 120 square feet. Phase one's 120 square feet, only on one floor, right? It's not 120 square feet on the first floor and 120 square feet on the second floor. Is that right?
That's correct. My report is dealing with the 120 square feet in that basement level area that we were looking at.
Gotcha.
Pete, did you have any questions for Wayne?
I did not, David. I thought the report was very well done and liked what was said.
Yep, agreed. Any further questions for Wayne?
Wayne, was there an emergency generator there? I don't remember seeing that.
It was
Oh, yeah?
by the house.
Oh.
Where the power comes into the house, there was a standby generator. So in the event of a fire in the garage, we need to be able to make sure that we can disconnect the power, and that includes being able to shut down the generator, because that's what will happen. You disconnect the power in the garage, and the generator is going to fire up. So we need to be able to quickly disconnect that with an outside, they call it a stop or emergency stop button that is installed on the outside of the cabinet.
Yep.
For the generator.
Right.
Everybody all good with their clarifications on the report?
Yep.
Yep.
Well, Wayne, I really appreciate you taking the time tonight to go through this and clarify some stuff for us. So thank you very much.
Certainly. Do you want me to stand by in case you develop further questions as you?
I suspect there won't be, but does anybody here feel like they got any? If the board has any last minute questions, I prefer they give them to you now so you can drop. I feel like we may have gotten all our questions answered. It was really just clarification of the report itself. So we've really gone through that. Anything else is going to end up being speculative and deliberations on our part. So.
So I would just ask that if you are moving forward with a conditional approval, that the condition would be that it meets all the fire and life safety requirement for the building, and that that they execute that memorandum of agreement with us to cover the different phases. Where we only inspected the 120, inspected for the 120 square feet of. That makes sense.
It does, yeah, I apologize, I'm making a note to myself, so, we always put a condition on our approvals saying they have to pass your review as well before they can be granted the permit. But we will add a note, I've added a note about the memorandum of agreement. And I believe, anything we do is going to have to be based on the report as you provided tonight. So most likely it's going to be, it's going to be a phase one type approval by us. I'm thinking that's where it's going to have to lean, but
If it's approved.
Well,
if it's approved. Yeah.
you have a question.
Yeah.
If he satisfies like phase two requirements to try to move his business to that level, does he need to come back before the board for that?
That's a really good question for which I have no answer. Jason?
I mean, just my gut instinct is if you're putting a condition that he only has so many square footage, I think he would have to come back to the board to kind of not an amendment to the conditional use permit, but essentially kind of like, I think about like a planning board kind of situation where a subdivision is sets down the lot lines, and you can't move that lot line without going back to the planning board, so. And I've often seen, we don't do as many variances and stuff like that, but going through files, oftentimes, there'll be they'll granted something conditionally, and it says specifically on it, if any change or expansion requires going back to the ZBA.
Okay. So we would probably have to make that a condition as well.
I would think so. Any expansion beyond the 120 square feet would require,
Yeah, we'll figure out the right wording when it gets to that point. Okay, so I don't know if you heard Jason, but yeah, it would have to, sounds like it would have to come back to us and then subsequently back to you. So, may not even have to have the memorandum agreement because it's just a natural flow of things. But we'll make sure that we're covered if it gets to that point. So
Yeah, on our end, I mean, he seemed very agreeable to that, understanding that we're trying to work with the applicant to allow him to kind of prove his concept without a lot of expenditure up front,
Sure.
but still be adequate effective.
Yep. All right.
Thanks, Wayne.
Yeah, thank you very, very much. Appreciate it.
Well,
Have a good evening. Okay. So it kind of puts us back to I and J again. So Jay's pretty much, but we agree that Jay's satisfied now that we've received the report. Just essentially, all conditional use applications shall be reviewed and approved by our fire rescue department. So
Yeah, that's our standard
yeah.
condition that we had.
now that we've received it, and obviously, yeah, like you say, Greg, these are not approved until we get approval from.
Yeah.
So I think Jay is now covered, which slips us back to I. Or cannot create a hazard to either pedestrian or vehicular traffic on the roads or sidewalks serving the proposed use as determined by the size and condition of such roads and sidewalks, the lighting, the drainage, the intensity of use by both pedestrians and also vehicles, and the visibility afforded to the pedestrians and the operators of motor vehicles. So there's deliveries to, and then there's deliveries from. I'm gonna start what I think was the easier one first. The deliveries from is simply the distribution vehicle, the being truck loaded up with product and then driven off property. Not,
It's his personal vehicle, I think he
Yeah.
said. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
And that he would, that would be done within the driveway in front of the, the garage. So I don't see any aspect of that which would, be an issue. I do question, though, the deliveries too. I recognize that we've talked about the, and I apologize for coughing. The deliveries to the property are incidental to the business, but they aren't necessarily incidental to this particular item, I would say.
but the standard's a little higher, I mean, a little lower here. It's create a hazard, right?
Yeah, well, and I guess that's what we have to define is what are the limitations that we can see based on the facts that we've heard, and then we make a determination based on what we understand. Is that gonna be a hazard? So, we do know that the delivery trucks could be up to the size of a furniture delivery truck or an appliance delivery truck. When they're doing the site walk, that was in the discussed, the size of the truck was discussed in the original application and confirmed during the meeting. And I wonder during the site walk, yeah, where are any delivery trucks going to to turn around. I suspect even if a truck is able to back into the driveway, that's still gonna extend out into the road. So those are just some observations, and I can't remember if it was discussed at the last meeting or not. There has to be 4 spaces available. If a truck were to come, I can't remember if it was discussed that if there were cars in the driveway, if they would be relocated so that the truck could get into the driveway. I can't remember if that was discussed. I'm gonna have to stop talking. I'll let you guys talk.
Well, I wasn't at the sidewalk, so this one I have somewhat deference to those that were, but I do recall Pete sort of maybe having an opinion that has a little bit better perspective than even if I was at the sidewalk in terms of hazard of the delivery vehicles. Pete, is my recollection
Right.
correct? Yeah.
Yeah, it is, Greg. You know, for the company that I work for, we're required to go down and make deliveries, and you know, it's not necessarily the wine distribution business, but there are products that are going to get delivered regardless. I mean, and like you mentioned, I mean, even like a Home Depot or a UPS truck, they're going to go in and make their delivery. They're going to find a place to turn around if they need to. That's just a fact.
But if,
Is it a hazard? Do you think it would create a hazard though?
Not necessarily, no. I mean, it's kind of up to the driver to, you know, be careful and drive safely.
Yeah.
so listening to Wayne, he says he doesn't really know where the fire trucks would turn around, and they're, I'll say, reasonably similar to a box truck, right?
Well, he was talking about delivery
He was
trucks.
talking, yeah. he was
Delivery
talking-
trucks turning
I think he
around.
was referring to the delivery trucks.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I was concerned about fire trucks and the height of the wire and things too.
He was
No, those are
that
separate.
originally for
Yeah.
the wire height.
Yeah, the wire height definitely is an issue for the fire trucks.
But he didn't necessarily pursue anything further with the applicant in regards to the delivery vehicles and how they were gonna, but he did question for himself, where were they gonna turn around?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I guess that the only thing I would ask us to consider as we consider this is if we were residents, if we happen to have, you know, be in that area and have homes there, is there any aspect of this that we could see that would be like, you know, wow, I don't like the idea of this because I think this is going to be an issue in terms of driving or walking or my kids or anything. You know, I'm trying to think of it in terms of the neighborhood.
I'd be concerned, like Pete says, they find a way, but after a while, the neighbors may say, stop backing into my driveway, or stop running over my lawn, or whatever, because that road is narrow as it is, and there wasn't any cul-de-sac at the end to turn around that I remember.
No, there wasn't.
So, yep, and it's a regular thing now, multiple deliveries per month, not an occasional Home Depot or something.
Yeah, if you're getting furniture delivered or an appliance delivered, that's a low impact or low frequency. I guess with this one, I just want to be, if a resident were to come up to me and say, hey, why did you approve this? I want to be able to say, this is why I believed it not to be a hazard. I have a hard time
So-
with supporting that one, but,
David,
yeah.
if I might add, I mean, in the original package that we got from Mr. Curran, there were letters from all of his neighbors that said that they were in favor of this. So I would think they would have considered the impact to them and their property or a truck coming in and delivering.
Yep, I can't discount that, yep. My other concern with this too is it's a narrower road. I don't know, clearly I didn't measure it, but to me it seems more like a 1 3/4 width road. It's partially tarred. It's tarred in some parts, dirt in other parts. He's at the very end of near the very end of the dead end road. I don't know. I have a hard time with this one. Just of the delivery aspect of it. Delivery too. I'd be more inclined to say no on this one than I would, this being satisfied. Because if the other part to this is if a delivery were to come and there are vehicles already in the driveway, in order to get the delivery truck into the driveway, then the vehicles that are currently in the driveway itself are gonna have to be moved out onto the road, essentially.
Yep. Or delivery driver just parks it in the road and unloads and holds up traffic, what little traffic there is.
Yeah, I believe the indication was during the meeting that the driveway would be used for the purpose.
Yep.
So that would mean the only other option is to have any vehicles in it moved out. So, and again, smaller road. I didn't get from him, Mr. Kern, specifically what does. I asked multiple times, what does delivery 2 look like, and
Right.
hoping to get more clarification. But I don't know. Personally, I'm not comfortable with I. I'm more inclined to say no on this one than I am no to being satisfied. And we can do a quick straw vote, but if we want to have more discussion.
I think I'm satisfied.
Okay.
But we can do a straw vote. I think that it's pretty material that the neighbors are supportive. They probably are more familiar with the property than we are. Pete was there. I think if he thought it was going to be a hazard, he would say so. Everything else seems hypothetical. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I'm definitely in favor as well.
So all those, I'm just going to do straw vote. It has item I been satisfied? I'm going to say no.
I'll say yes.
I'll say no.
I'll say yes.
Sorry. Yeah, I'll say yes too.
3 yeses and 2 noes. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, to the board.
What's that? Oh, yeah, please. Yep.
So on this, you have the ability to limit the size of vehicles? Because usually, I've been in the delivery business side of my work. And, when you're talking about appliance truck, it could be the little small delivery truck, or it could be the 36,000 pound delivery truck. And both, one here distributors have both types. Is the board able to limit the size of the delivery truck? The smaller trucks are going to have much less problems on this road. And actually, certain times of the year, that's the only truck that will be allowed on.
Yep. Yeah, I can see Pete nodding. So, yeah, it's something we should probably consider as a condition of approval as the board to see if there's also the enforceability, which I have to talk to Jason about, but, okay. All right, what else do we have in our notes, Greg? I'm gonna help you, my eyes are getting really tired just because of
Yeah, I understand.
On the record, I had eye surgery last week, so my eyes are a little tired. I'm gonna ask for some assistance from my,
So I'm going through the minutes, and you guys feel free if you have notes that contradict this, but just going to walk us through A through J and then A through E real quick, speed run
Yep.
from the minutes. So I believe that we had a straw vote on A, and it
Right.
was agreed that
I apologize, Greg. I just want to say to Jess, Greg is, I agree with Greg, he's going to blow through this.
Yep.
If anything pops up where Greg's like, we all said yes, but you feel like this should be no, please let us know that, okay?
Fair enough,
So,
thank you.
But yeah, he'll blow through it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, item A, is, will not depart from the general purpose and intent, of this am I reading that right?
Yeah.
Conditional use, A, okay, yeah, will not depart from the general purpose and intent of this chapter, nor from the town's comprehensive plan. The board held a straw vote consensus that this was met. B, will be compatible with permitted uses within the zone as determined by population, density, design, scale, and bulk of any proposed new structures and intensity of use. The board had a straw vote consensus that this was met. C, will not generate noise, vibration, fumes, odor, dust, or glare which is detectable at the lot boundaries, and all aspects of the conditional use will be carried on within the structure. Outdoor sales and service may take place outside of the structure as long as all other applicable sections of this chapter can be met, and the use does not generate noise, vibrations, fumes, odors, dust, or glare which are detectable at the lot boundaries. The board conducted a straw vote, and I believe this was a little bit more questionable. I don't think we had consensus on this.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Greg. I'm showing this as being still an open
Yep.
item.
Yep. So, do you want to pause and take, or you want me to take us through everything?
I don't mind knowing which ones we still got left,
Okay.
but whatever, I'm gonna defer to you on this one.
Okay. So I had the straw vote, there was no consensus held on the straw vote for C. For D, I'm gonna go through them. Yep. For D, will not cause water pollution, sedimentation, erosion, contaminate any water supply, nor reduce the capacity of the land to hold water, so that a dangerous or unhealthy condition may result. And then the board discussed various options and felt that this was could be met conditionally.
And I believe, my concerns are addressed by the fire and safety.
Okay.
So if I believe this.
I believe, yeah, fair. So E, so D, we'll just say D's met, so we'll leave C kind of open. E will not adversely impact any deer wintering. The board agreed that, that it will not impact any deer wintering area or other important plant or wildlife habitat or scenic area such as views of Sebago Lake or mountains from public places. The board was satisfied. F, will not deny light and air to surrounding properties. The board agreed that this was satisfied. G, will not depreciate the economic value of surrounding properties. I think there was not a unanimous consensus with this. Tom, I think, was the holdout.
Yep.
So we'll put that back on the docket here. H, will have sufficient potable water available for its needs. There was not a consensus or not a unanimous consensus on this. I'll just put that on the item to discuss. And then I and J we just discussed. I don't know if you want me to read those again. I think that we literally just discussed I and J. J is I think something that we will consider as a condition. And then I'll just while I have the mic, I will advance to the land and use ordinances 300-9.2 under home occupations. A, the home occupation shall be carried on wholly within the dwelling or accessory structure. I think there was some confusion on the or being an exclusive or inclusive or, but I think we settled that it did not actually matter which interpretation based off from the application. So we agreed that that was met. B, the home occupation shall be carried on primarily by a member or members of the family residing in the dwelling unit. Not more than 2 persons who are not family members residing in the dwelling unit shall be employed. Straw vote amongst the board members agreed that it was met. C, there shall be no exterior display nor exterior signs or sign except as expressly permitted by district regulations of this chapter, no exterior storage of materials, and no other exterior indication of the home occupation or variation from the residential character of the principal building. The board held a straw vote and concluded that condition was met. D, objectionable conditions such as noise, vibration, smoke, dust, electrical disturbance, odors, heat, glare, or activity at unreasonable hours shall not be permitted. The board had conducted a straw vote and concluded that condition was met. E, in addition to off-street parking provided to meet the normal requirements of the dwelling, adequate off-street parking shall be provided for the vehicles of each employee and the vehicles of the maximum number of users the home occupation may attract during peak operation hours. This condition was not met. I think there was some concern. Sorry, go ahead, David.
Oh, I do remember this one. I had concern, but
We moved on?
I know, yeah,
Okay.
I moved on.
Okay.
good with that
And then F, the home occupation shall not utilize more than 20% of the total floor area of the dwelling unit. The basement floor area shall be excluded in calculation of the 20%. I don't think we have a straw vote on this, but it is not, per the application, not relevant.
Correct.
So I'll take it back to you, or do you want me to take us through C, or what would you like to do?
Yeah, if you want to take us through C, that's good. Just to confirm though, the 300-9.2 home occupations, A through F, 100% unanimous, that straw vote, all of that's been met?
Yep.
So
Yep.
just to confirm that out loud.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay.
so really the concerns are on 300-9.1 conditional uses, certain items there. Okay.
Yeah, so C, I think the material concern was around the box truck and deliveries creating, generating sort of adverse conditions that are detailed in this, in 300.1C. The way it fell is, just to remind people, I felt it was okay. And I think that this is something that probably comes down to a scale and a scope question, which I think is a threshold issue for approval for many issues that we've discussed tonight. I would propose that we move forward with this, assuming we could come up with language that limited the scale and scope. I'm hoping that would satisfy the people who are opposed to C. I don't know. I can't speak for them, but I believe it was you and Tom, David.
Yeah, I had some aspects to this
Okay.
that I was concerned about. My biggest concern is I was appreciative of the discussion of the delivery to vehicles and the incidental nature of it. That was helpful to get that all talked out. So I am not so much concerned about the noise, vibration, and fumes from the delivery trucks. That's just part of the business. The one area that I do have concerns about is the second part of that first sentence about all aspects of the conditional use will be carried on within the structure. My biggest concern there is that there is the delivery from that aspect of the operation is going to be done outside. It was determined that product would be over a 30-minute period be taken from the structure, placed into the vehicle for then off-site delivery. So and that could be done 4 times every other week. So there are 8 times 30 minutes for which there is operations happening outside of the structure. And to me, that's a big blocker.
So just to clarify, you're talking about the time in which he takes a box out of the storage, the space prepared, ready to go, puts and carries it to his personal vehicle? Is that the window of time?
Yeah, it isn't even so much, I mean, yeah, there is a part of it that's time, but there are chunks of time for which there is activity. He said that his employees would be taking, boxes out of storage and using dollies, moving them over to the vehicle, and then, getting them into the vehicle for subsequent distribution. And to me, that's a significant part of the operation, and that's all happening outside of the structure. It's not incidental, in my opinion. I kind of view the incidental nature of the deliveries too, because no employees of Mr. Kearns are going to be removing the product. It's all being done by the vendors who are doing the distribution of the product to the property. But then when it comes out of, off property, or the preparation to get it off property, all of that prepping is being done outside of the garage itself.
Just to get really specific, sorry, I'm not,
Yeah, no,
I
yeah.
wanna when you say the prepping, there's, my understanding of the wine club operations are that there will be some deliveries, maybe a case of wine, let's say like delivery wine A, delivery wine B, and delivery wine C, and somebody may have 2 A's, 2 B's, and 2 C's, and a six pack, right?
Yep.
And so there's preparation involved in opening A, opening B, opening C, removing the bottles, packaging the box, taping the box up. That'll all happen inside, right?
Yep.
And then what your concern is the opening, taking that box and bringing it to the car.
Correct.
Okay.
Because it's
Yeah.
being loaded onto dollies,
Yeah.
moved over,
Okay.
unloaded.
Yep.
Yep, that is my concern. And that's a significant portion of the operation, a significant part of the operation. If you don't get the vehicle loaded, you can't get your off-site deliveries. So to me, this is
Yeah,
this is a blocker.
Yeah, I mean, I see your point, but it's just like, if you take that to its kind of conclusion, like, can you not sell anything out of your house?
No, I wouldn't say no. I mean, if somebody's, like we talked about, like seamstress or tailor, somebody's gonna be, driving up to, it's part of the business. They drive up, they pick up their item, or potentially, woodworker, somebody drives up with their truck, it gets loaded onto the truck, and then they take off with the new bureau. I mean, I get that. That to me is
Okay.
not, that's not getting something to your customer in those cases is not a significant part of the operation. The significant part of the operation is creating, the tailored suit or creating the bureau. That's the significant part of the operation. This is, you receive the product, it's, like you said, a lot of stuff is done inside the building, and then the final steps of the operation are to get it into the vehicle, and that's all happening outside of the building. And it's a 30-minute process, so it's not like it's totally insignificant. I mean, it's not like a quick 1 minute from the garage to the truck.
Yeah, I just think of the scale of the operations in my mind starts with things like, there's going to be ongoing vendor negotiations, there's going to be marketing, there's a website that has to be run, there's kind of financial accounting, there's sort of managing members and complaints and customer support, and we haven't even got to preparing the packaged good, which will still happen inside. So all of that will happen inside, right? And then we're merely talking about taking the good from the storage building, the garage, to his car. I think that when I look at it in totality, that period of taking the 2 A's, 2 B's, 2 C's, maybe there's a stack of those boxes and you take them out and load them in, on a dolly, load them into a car. When you look at that kind of part of the operation relative to the overall business, I think it's pretty de minimis.
Yeah, I agree. He didn't really scope out what the amount of effort is, you know, inside the garage. We don't really know the level, and I don't know if we have to. It's just, this was specifically worded and approved by Raymond residents to say all aspects of the conditional use. That was specifically placed there. And I want to be respectful to that word all. And it, to me, 30 minutes times 4, twice a month that's not, like I said, that's a significant portion of the operation that's happening outside of the structure.
I mean, it is a portion of the operation outside the structure. I think where we disagree is the significance of it. I think he goes through pretty good lengths of like the operations.
Yep.
I think if this is going to be what was the intent of the ordinances when they are written, and are we sort of advocating for the appropriate degree of interpretation of like significance, I'd fall pretty heavily on the side of this is insignificant and was not intended to be, you know, all is not intended to mean literally every possible aspect, because that would exclude almost all businesses. You could come up
I
with,
don't know how it would.
well, any non-zero amount of time is included in all, right? So
I
So
see
you
what you're
think-
saying, but
we just disagree on what the threshold of all is. You're
Yeah.
conceding that it's not all.
yeah,
'Cause-
no, there, in my case there are customers coming, in my examples anyways, there are customers coming to the property to pick up something.
Yeah,
And then, like, if this were an operation in which he has customers coming, I wouldn't take issue with it. But this is not that sort of an operation. This is an operation where a vehicle is being loaded up for distribution. And it's, again, the word all is there. I recognize that, you know, there's gotta be some sort of tolerance aspect to it, but this is not just somebody coming and grabbing something, or this is happening on a regular basis, and it has the potential to scale, you know, greater. And if, again, I try to put myself in a resident's, in the neighborhood's shoes, and if I happen to be a resident that were living there and, you know, 8 times a month for 30 minutes per time, I look out my window and I see people with dollies loading up trucks and stuff, I'm like, why did you approve this when it says clearly that shouldn't be happening? I personally have I can't say to them, you know, I have to, my conscience or my understanding of the word all is all.
yeah, I think if you sell anything out of your house, there's a non-zero amount of business that happens outside your house. If you come out to greet a customer, for instance, if you step outside of your house conducting business, that would be in violation of this. So I guess all I'm saying is that we just have a disagreement on the tolerance that meets all. Go ahead, Tom.
So we're talking about C, right? The first sentence says all, but the second sentence says outdoor sales and service may take place outside the structure as long as all other applicable sections, you know, have been met. And that it's not detectable at the lot boundaries. So is your hang up, Dave, that the neighbors, or there's gonna be some effect at the property boundaries?
Nope, not all. I have no issue with the property boundaries.
No, I meant that there's gonna be some disturbance, you know, noise, vibration, fumes, odors, dust, whatever, glare,
Nope.
are detectable at the lot boundaries.
I have no issue with that.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
It all comes down to all aspects of the conditional use will be carried on within the structure.
Right, but outdoor sales, to Tom's point, outdoor sales and services may take place outside.
Yeah, but this is not an outdoor sales and service conditional. There are conditional uses for outdoor sales and service. This is not outdoor sales and service.
Well, this particular part of his business is an outdoor service. Like it's a
It's
delivery service. I mean, it's quite literally what it is.
No, he's applying for the wrong thing. Isn't there not an outdoor, specifically an outdoor sales and service conventional.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of back to like the performance motorsports,
Yeah.
selling vehicles outside.
He's not selling product from his property.
What business,
Outside.
what conditional use for selling goods or out of your house could meet standard C? If the interpretation is that you can literally spend no time outside of your house, like what business could possibly be run according to these ordinances? What
So-
conditional use could we give?
So this is I guess I'm looking at it as this is a conditional use, which is the wine and malt beverage distribution, really. It's a delivery service. A seamstress is not a delivery service. Woodworker is not a delivery service.
No, you might deliver those things for sure.
Then it wouldn't qualify.
So okay, yeah, okay, we'll just disagree on it then. I don't
But I
think
mean,
there's much.
The
more to
other
it.
option is the applicant, it is a garage, the applicant has the ability to do this within the garage. He's stating to us specifically that he's choosing to do it outside of the garage.
So would you be satisfied if we put a conditional use that says you have to do it inside the garage?
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
Anything you guys?
So the incoming deliveries can happen outside, but his deliveries out of the garage have to be back in a vehicle, into his garage, loaded up, and then go out.
Yeah,
Is that what I'm just trying to figure out what.
the
you're-
differentiation for me is the deliveries are incidental to the business. We discussed that part of it, and we agreed it's incidental. These are vendors coming, they're doing all the work of delivering it
Yeah,
to.
he has no control over that.
Yeah, but the delivery out, that's a significant part of his operation. I mean, that's what this conditional use is.
Well, I mean, I guess like, it certainly is not a functioning business without it, so it's significant in a supply chain capacity for sure. Like, his business doesn't function, like his business wouldn't work without it, so it's definitely significant from that perspective. But I guess my where I'm looking at it is from the core business is a much more to it. There's much more to operating this business than the transit of the packaged, prepared good from the storage unit to the car. And so, from that respect, I just think it's insignificant.
Yeah.
But I think we just disagree on this, on the threshold of like significance here. I don't think there's a lot of. I think you've said your points. I think I've said my points. I don't think we need to, deliberate it.
Yeah, and I guess the only other thing I want to make clear is that I have nothing against the business or anything like that. I applaud him for being an entrepreneur in this regard. It's just, to me, does this type of a business fit the definition that Raymond has for a home occupation? And in this particular area, I do not believe it fits. Would it fit in a commercial zone somewhere else? Sure, of course, do whatever you need to do. But as a home occupation and this definition in shoreline zoning, although actually this comes out of land use, but it doesn't matter. I feel it doesn't fit. They put that word all there for a reason. This is a home occupation. It's not just a general commercial venture.
Right.
This is specific.
But outdoor sales and service. The very next sentence says outdoor sales and services may take place outside of the structure.
Yeah, but that's a different type of home occupation. They're not both the same.
I mean, it's a delivery service.
But this is not an outdoor. But to be clear, outdoor sales and service is a totally different.
Well, I don't understand how he can be guilty. Like this is condemned because because of its outdoor service. It's a delivery service in one breath, and then the very next one it's not. Like,
Well,
it either is or it isn't, right? Like,
so good point.
Would scale come into play on this at all? Does that help drive it in a direction?
I mean, we could just.
So just to be clear, there is a definition for outdoor sales and service, which is the regular display by a retailer of stock and trade outside of an enclosed structure. The term includes, but is not necessarily limited to, businesses that involve an outside parking or display area for the sales of cars, trucks, motorcycles, campers, farm equipment, recreational vehicles, boats, boat trailers, aquatic recreational vehicles and equipment, or mobile homes. Businesses involved in the outdoor sale of used merchandise other than at flea markets, which is separately defined, and similar outdoor sales activities. For the purpose of this chapter, the serving of food by an eating and drinking place at outside tables shall not be considered outside sales. So, this is not an outside, in my opinion, based on the definition, it's not outside sales and service. We're not setting up outside,
Okay, so then,
selling goods.
so then the part of the business that is outside doesn't matter. In the sense that if it's not outside, if there's nothing happening outside, there's no deliveries, there's no delivery aspect of the business happening outside, then why are we so focused on that period, that carrying the box from the structure to the car, if that's not?
Let me ask this question then. What if he said that his business plan was to have deliveries come there specific to the property, and they would be stored under a tarp outside? Do you believe our ordinances support that for a home occupation, instead of it being in?
I believe that's not what we're discussing. So,
I know,
but
the thing is, that's the thing, you're trying to change
no,
business.
No, I'm not. I'm saying his business is his door-to-door delivery is part of his business. It's right in the operational framework. He has a whole paragraph talking about outdoor delivery. I mean, door-to-door delivery. At some point, that has to be part of his business.
Yeah.
Your argument is that all aspects must happen inside, but it's not outdoor sales and service. I just don't see how it cannot be.
So I'm not questioning the delivery aspect. I'm questioning the loading of the product onto the delivery vehicle. That's an aspect of his business that's happening on property outside.
Right, but outdoor sales and service may take place outside. And what I'm saying is that I think the way we got down this part of the deliberation is the intent of the ordinances when they were written. And my counterpoint to the word "all" is that the very next sentence signals intent to allow some portion of outdoor service, and I think it fits his business pretty. I think it's actually fairly well written in that regard, because it does kind of explain how you can the material aspect of the business can happen indoors, and there can be outdoor sales and service.
Yeah, and I think we need to do a deeper dive into outdoor sales and service, because this is not outdoor. This does not meet that definition. And to come back to his operations on page 5, the primary is receiving, storing, assembling, and then loading orders into a licensed delivery vehicle for off-site distribution. It's that loading orders into a licensed delivery vehicle for off-site distribution, which is happening outside of the garage, outside of the structure. That's a significant part of his operations. It's happening outside the structure. So,
I think I have nothing else to add to it.
okay.
You guys have anything else?
No, I guess my only question would be, if we added a condition that said his outgoing vehicles must be in the garage to be loaded and then proceed out.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. That's a part of his operation which occurs inside the structure.
Yep.
To that point, how much of the vehicle needs to be in the garage?
This is just
Yeah.
we're just like we're just getting into
Going down a rabbit hole here.
absurdity.
Can you look up, can you look up for me in our ordinances, it can be not just specifically in land use, but some of the permitted and conditional uses, just just pick like,
For shoreland zone or
not for shoreline, but
like
for.
rural residential or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, just a second.
While we do that, David, is it okay if we move?
Yeah, of course.
We move the ball forward.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I do think we have quite a bit left to cover. So, for Part G, there was not a consensus. Excuse me. This is, excuse me. Part G was about the depreciation of the economic value of surrounding properties. There was not a consensus on this. I think, again, this was split sort of 2-2 along Pete and myself, and David to some extent, if I recall correctly, and Tom to some extent, in opposition of G. So,
I migrated over to the yes
all right.
side. Only because I don't have anything in front of me that says this really would. I do worry about scope and scale, that this could potentially, but again, I don't have anything in front of me that says this is gonna be an economic downturn for you, so I can't say no.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty much in the no. That this will not depreciate the economic value.
I think you mean you're in the yes. I believe you're agreeing that. this
Will
be-
not. Yes, you're right. Yeah.
It's like, oh, you flipped over to Tom's side.
Let's make it interesting. Jess, anything to add on this one?
I think you brought up a good point about scope and scale, and I think it's needed on a lot of these items. But yeah, I don't see a reason it would depreciate anything.
Do you have any
Yeah, well,
different thoughts? Oh, sorry.
Tom?
I was gonna ask, what was,
Yeah, do you have any
I think
different?
we're all no. I think we're all okay with it, except for you, Tom.
Yeah,
No
I'm the
pressure.
only one that's, sometimes I'm the sore thumb.
there you go.
So, no, I just don't find it that it's gonna, may not depreciate the values, but it is not what I picture as.
So you're in agreement with G? Because G is about depreciating the value.
I just.
There's lots of other complaints that you could have, or issues
You
that you
guys
could have.
go right ahead, all four yes, and I'll say no.
Well, everybody that just got their KRT letter probably are saying depreciate my value.
At this point, yeah. Because some appeals maybe they wanted to depreciate. Okay, so I think we've again, I think it's just going to come down to voting on some of this stuff. So I don't think there's a substantial
Can we
objection.
just pause you now?
Yep.
Were you done with, are we done with the?
Yep,
Okay.
yep. I was going to move on to 8.
Just want to get back to,
Yep, so permitted uses in rural residential.
looking more towards the conditional type stuff.
The conditional, nursing homes, neighborhood grocery stores not to exceed 1,000 square feet of retail space, including storage, cemeteries, funeral parlors, medical arts buildings, mineral extraction that conforms to 309.5, public and quasi-public recreation buildings, contractors not having more than 5 vehicles, and pieces of equipment that are not screened from view from the surrounding property and street, medical cannabis cultivation facility.
Where is, I know there's outdoor sales and services is there somewhere. Where is that?
So that falls under the commercial, I believe.
Because we
So that's
had-
outdoor,
was it?
outdoor sales and services under the commercial.
I don't think, I think it's
Conditional
also
uses.
under,
It may be under one of the other zones.
yeah, maybe it's village or,
Uh,
because it was, let's go back to Port Harbor where they purchased that property and we had to evaluate for them.
So village.
But that was a commercial zone.
I know it was half commercial and half residential because they
Yeah.
bought the house.
Well, the house
No,
was
the house was in a
it was
commercial
a
zone.
commercial zone.
Yeah.
Yep, so,
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting.
yeah. This is for village general stores, same 1,000 square feet, public utilities and communications, antique shops, home occupations, and indoor cultivation of medical cannabis, sun-grown is prohibited. Then rural, the conditional are,
I guess I'm trying to figure out where is the outdoor, I
It's
want
under-
to hear the definition.
so the only one I think it falls under is under the commercial.
Oh.
commercial, it definitely has outdoor sales and service, outdoor storage, and then is industrial, but
Where are you on C?
those
Is that
are,
on commercial?
Which one?
it's under commercial.
Okay.
C.
C, item C.
Because I know we had to approach the planning board. Well, we didn't have to do anything. We made a suggestion to the planning board
You're
to
okay with it, right?
review what outdoor sales and service was and
What
to
if-
come up with a definition and how that actually fit
Doesn't fit.
into a conditional use. So outdoor sales and service is a conditional use in the commercial
Get
zone.
through all the other ones.
Okay, all right,
It doesn't show up in any other zone.
that's fair, that's
Okay.
fair.
So I'm just gonna propose, based on what I'm hearing through Jason and our ordinances, that outdoor sales and services is considered a conditional use specific to the commercial zone. So, yeah, then that's why we ended up having to add it. Or we as a zoning board made a request to the planning board to create that definition for us, to create a definition for
Okay.
outdoor sales and service. But, okay, thank you, Jason, I appreciate that.
Move on to H. So again, H, potable water, I think again, there wasn't consensus here. David was no, I was yes. I can speak from my opinion. I thought that the needs were very low and could be met with in sort of a handful of different ways. Let David or Tom, I think you were also maybe on David's side, or I don't remember. But if you,
That we have sides.
well, at some point, yes, we could literally vote. So,
I
as
think,
much as I'd like to
I think there
not.
could be a solution here. That's, you know,
See, I kind of flipped on this one.
Yeah.
Because having to look at this as home occupation where it's customarily conducted on or in a residential structure. My bigger concern at the time of the last meeting was, again, thinking of scale and scope. And it's like, okay, this is, in my mind, I'm picturing a gigantic, no, it's not gigantic, but at least what the garage could support of an operation. And then how does that look when you have employees, in my mind, going from basically a commercial area over to a house to go to the bathroom or something like that. It didn't quite match what I was trying to envision. But as I look more at home occupation, what really is the intent of a home occupation, to me, I no longer have issue with any employees leaving the structure to go to the home to wash up, go to the bathroom. To me, that's so. Long story short, I have no issue with H anymore.
Awesome. Then on that note, I think that
Well,
brings us-
Tom was against.
because there's,
oh no, he was more in the camp of it could be solved. There might need to be
I
a
got you.
condition.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
You
I think
know,
you were.
one of
I
those
got you.
5-gallon water
Yeah,
things,
yeah.
you know,
Like-
can you run it,
yeah.
you know, in the summer months on a garden hose, you know.
Take a couple square feet of your 120 square feet and put some water.
Can't always do that in winter, but
Yeah.
So do we have a consensus? That's a yes. All of us, yes.
I think
Great.
it's yes, but potentially there's an appetite for some sort of condition that he has a solution that hasn't. It was certainly not articulated what the solution was, but
I gotcha.
it was not an immediate no based on from the needs, because the needs to store something seems quite low, but it's not zero. But again, like, he's not doing food preps, so there is a, anyway.
I was gonna take a quick minute. Pete,
Oh,
every once in a while I look up and I see you, but you're not sitting here with us, so I don't wanna say I forget about you, but out of sight, out of mind. So if you have anything for us or you wanna interrupt, just do it, so,
I will, no worries.
okay.
I think a couple of you had an issue with potentially heating the structure if there's water there. I think I heard that in the last meeting.
Sounds like a Tom issue.
Yep. Well, even alcoholic beverages freeze.
Yeah.
So
You know,
He's got to do something
when they,
about it.
when they burst, then, Dave's concerned about spillage, and then, so,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and I don't know about,
Total-
the
but-
fire guys are concerned at all about
Yeah.
spillage, but
I did see in the report about sealing up the doors and,
Yeah.
what I saw. Can I recommend that we take a 5-minute
Sure.
bio break and,
I mean, it's your meeting, so.
come back? I kind of transitioned it over to you slightly.
All right, well, I defer to you.
we're gonna put this to a
Fi-
vote.
Let's take a 5-minute recess.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Okay. I don't think we need to vote on it. Yeah.
Straw vote.
Yeah, we all agree.
Yep.
We're gonna take a bio break, 5 minutes. We'll be back in a bit.
And we are back, continuing our deliberations. I'm gonna again kind of shift things back over to Greg so he can help guide the conversation for me.
Yeah, so just continuing on with where we left off, I believe we've gone through all the open standards that need to be met to consider this. I would just kind of give people an opportunity if there's something they felt did not get covered, or if there's a point that they would like to make that before we start trying to think about how to resolve this. Is that maybe the right step? So, Pete, anything material on one of these you want to bring up? And we do have discussion after, as part of our voting process, but while we're in the heat of the deliberation, is there anything you'd like to add?
I'm good at this point, Greg. Thanks for asking.
Okay. Jess, anything you feel like we
Nothing
didn't get
else to
sufficient
add.
time? Okay.
Did we resolve, I think it was mostly David's issue about adequate parking or whatever it was, adequate off-street parking? I think that was,
Which one,
I
which
think
letter is
it's,
that?
I think it was E under 9.2.
Yeah, I thought he
Yeah,
said he,
yeah,
he said he,
Did we solve that one?
yeah.
Yes, yeah, we did, because as we had out loud discussions about
How
the type of
many?
vehicles, and I felt good about it.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm good, and I think, like, want to start moving us towards a potential motion to vote on this, or to approve or deny. I do think that I know there's at least one condition, so maybe before we actually start thinking through what the language is going to be, we start itemizing what the conditions we think are appropriate here. I've been taking some notes, and I think there's there's J, which we always put a condition on because we're not qualified to make that determination, and fortunately we have somebody who is, and so I think we're obviously going to put a condition on sorry, I'm just getting organized here, on J. So I'll just kind of put that down as condition 1, to satisfy all the requirements set forth by Wayne, and then review by the fire department.
Yeah. There's a
The
side.
MOA? Or
What's that?
the MOA, or?
Yeah, I was going to add that to it.
Thank you.
Yep. And in particular, there's a memorandum that needs to be met with that I believe, again, this is something that's going to be between the fire department and the applicant. There's a memorandum that I believe it describes the phasing of this, and so I think it's J plus memorandum.
Yep.
Is a good way to kind of just pencil it in right now. And then I would like to propose for you guys a condition around that's related to the memorandum and what came up with Wayne as a condition, which I think is pretty important for this, around the scope and scale. And I was going to suggest and open for conversation the setting the 120 square feet as a scope and scale condition. I think it gives good continuity with the fire department's goals and their understanding of the project. And it gives us a pretty good, do the back of the envelope math. It's 120, it's about 20%. So of the actual square footage. So
And limit it to the basement, or whatever
Yeah.
we're calling it, the
Yeah.
lower floor.
yeah, so 120 square. So condition of the conditional use would be that it uses no more than 120 square feet of the first floor. And then I had earmarked 3 other items.
I'm just gonna say too, it's 120 square feet of storage of wine. I kind of like to put that there just because if there's like, because we talked about they got to prep it and all that stuff. Like, you know, do we have to restrict them to the 120 feet of their operations? Or do we say your storage is here, which is how it's defined, and then you could potentially, I don't know,
120 square feet storage area for
Yeah.
you know, let them do their assembly
liquids or whatever.
outside
Yeah.
of that 120.
I don't know if
I'm just saying it
I don't
out
know if
loud,
Wayne's
but-
still with us, but there's a certain classification of liquids that are being stored, so we
Yeah.
can maybe piggyback on that. I saw it in here. He's got. Feel free, guys, if you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about,
I'm
jump
trying-
up, jump in, and just
Trying to
give me
find it
feed me
too.
here.
Greg, Wayne is here.
Class 1 liquids. Wayne, does it make sense for us to kind of align our conditional use with the phase 1, your understanding of phase 1 of 120 square feet of class 1 liquids? Or does that not make sense? Again, this is where I'm not qualified, so I'm just trying to create as much parity as we can between what our conditional use is and what your goals are from a fire safety perspective.
Yeah, so, first, don't classify the wine and malt liquor as class 1. That's, more like propane
Oh,
and
okay.
gasoline.
Okay.
I know it's a part of our report, but,
Okay, so we'll put wine and malt liquor.
That sounds
yeah, the volume of wine and malt liquor.
Glad I asked. And I know if for people in the audience that now think I'm foolish, sorry. Okay, so that was one, 120 square feet of wine and malt liquor. One second. Okay, and then I had, I want to try to be, as sensitive as we can to the concerns around. I think there are maybe a delivery hazard question that we don't really know what's happening. I don't really know how we condition around that. I mean, one thing I thought was that maybe you could just have a condition that it doesn't create a hazard. And I wanted to ask Jason, and from an enforcement perspective, we're sitting here trying to figure out, well, what does create a hazard mean, right? And how, if there was a condition, if a condition is put forth that is then violated, how does that come as an NOV from you, or?
I would imagine it's like a violation. We're kind of tailoring, a conditional use to this one property, but ultimately it's a violation. So
Yeah.
I think it's just a straight NOV would be.
Yeah.
Now, are we referring to the kind of getting back to the delivery truck kind of when they're delivering? That could be a point where if someone's walking or something like that.
No, I'm talking about I right now, which is the creating a hazard to pedestrians and vehicles.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's the vehicles maneuvering with somebody else. I mean, to tell them it can't create a hazard, that there's a lot of interpretation there. That's why I think Wayne brought this up. Maybe we do put a condition on the size of the vehicle. That's something that somebody can take a picture of very easily, and you can determine the size of the truck pretty easily. That's if the truck is X amount of feet long, it's too big. It's something that can be measured, and while you'd have to be, somebody would have to take a picture of it. It at least is something that we can kind of say rather than being interpretive and saying, hey, that guy pulled a bonehead move there, and somebody has a video of it, and then somebody says, well, no, that's how they have to get back in there. It becomes a very subjective thing.
Well, that was sort of my goal.
Make it as subjective as possible?
Play hot potato with the subjectivity. And just basically, just say hey, now this is Jason's problem.
I mean, from the delivery company standpoint, I don't see them wanting to use a larger truck there. I think if they know where they're bringing it, I think it's in their interest. And there are going to be some months, if they're over whatever the weight is, they won't be able to.
I'm not savvy. I'm not do you have a recommendation on what the gross vehicle weight, or what's the what?
So I would put one point up there is, and I would be really good with limiting the size, because they have to have 4 parking spots, and they have 5 in total. 2 inside the garage, which I believe he indicated at least 1 was gonna be for residential, potentially 2. And then there's 2 outside. So there's that third open spot. If you could easily drive into that, back into that, you know, our cars could do that. You know, I don't know if delivery trucks are that size, but if you could dimension that out to fit, then that would make me very happy, because then I don't have to worry about having to potentially move a vehicle or something sticking out into the road. I don't know if that's a possibility, but I know a 3-car wide driveway must have minimum dimensions for each section, right? Isn't there something I thought?
I don't think we have dimensional standards for driveways.
Because I found. But anyway, I'll let you guys keep talking about that.
And Wayne and Pete might be able to speak better to the size of vehicles.
Oh, yeah. Wayne, Pete, first, please.
Right. Yeah, so I mean, when we went down and did the site walk, I brought my pickup truck. So a little bit bigger than a passenger car or whatever. I didn't have any trouble turning around or getting into the parking space.
So this is in.
Mr. Chairman, right
Yes.
off the top of my head, I can't classify, give you the language that you're looking for. But we've all seen it, that little, small delivery truck, that the wheels and tires are much smaller than, you know, what we think of a lot of appliance or furniture delivery trucks. You know, that size, it's much smaller than that. And those smaller ones can actually operate on roads that are posted. So companies like I worked for, when roads were posted, these trucks were what was sent out to deal with the posted roads. They had to make deliveries. I just don't know what to call it right off the top of my head. I can get that information to you.
Thanks, Wayne. What do you guys think about just saying that the delivery vehicle must fit wholly on the, in the driveway? And just say like, you can't spill out over the driveway into the road. Does that work? I mean, it's less subjective than must not create a hazard. I know you're looking for a number or you could measure it, but like, at least that would give him some workaround if he wanted to, maybe, I don't know, I wasn't there, but maybe he could angle it if he does, you know, to get a few extra feet, you know.
Yeah.
Just, like, I think the intent of what we're all trying to say is the space is a little bit crammed. We don't want to create we're not trying to create a conditional use that's just going to cause a true risk or hazard or an impediment to the road and passage of either vehicles or pedestrians. And so if we went that route, is that something you think has an enforceability that's like appropriate?
Yeah, I think if somebody could take if they
Just be
just
like, oh,
parked
look, yeah,
on the
it's
side
an
of the
18
road
wheel,
and
yeah.
said it's parked there, take
Yeah.
a picture of it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we'd have to know that he wasn't in the process of backing up and they just snapped that moment picture. And in that situation, it would probably start with a warning rather than an NOV. So,
I mean, how can you? They're delivering. How can
Yeah.
you really stop them?
Right,
from-
right.
You can tell them, but
right, and we'd have to get a complaint too. I mean, I'm not
Go
setting
down
up
there-
a
go down
game
there with
cam
it.
down there and
Yeah.
being like, "Ah, I gotcha." You know, we're largely complaint based. We can't be everywhere at once.
Yeah.
So there is we do have land use Article 9.3 off-street parking. And they do E says the minimum width of a parking space shall be 9 feet. So I'm just wondering if that could at least be a starting point or a continuation point in the conversation of like at least fit. Width-wise.
What's the lengthwise?
Oh, as long as it doesn't spill out. into the
Okay,
road.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's okay if it's, well, 9 feet's pretty wide for a.
I just want to make sure I can preserve the other 4 spots. They have to have 4 spots reserved. And then they got that 1/5 open spot. And if they can just easily get a vehicle in and out of that 5th open spot, then all, in my opinion, there's no way you can create a hazard.
If we just conditioned the length can I get a gut check on you? How would you?
To me, it's even more of the width.
You're more concerned about the width.
Because if it's too wide, then one of those cars has to get out of the driveway.
On Google Earth, it looks like it's about 27 feet by 30 feet. Looks like it's about 27 feet wide.
So 3 spots.
It's about
per 30.
it looks like it's about 3 feet wider than the garage.
Yeah.
3 foot, 3 times 9.
So, so,
Can't even
so
say.
if you have a 25, 30-foot truck,
Yeah.
it's gonna come in sideways and take up all 3 parking spots, right?
No, it'll fit 30 feet.
No, yeah.
It's about 30 feet, looks like, from the road to the garage, and
Yeah.
27 feet wide.
Yeah. He's got 3 spots, 9 feet per spot, 30 feet length.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, must be wholly contained in one of the parking spots. Is that a?
That to me works fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Hey, David?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if this helps or not, but I just kind of Googled lightweight delivery trucks. And a class 3, which is 10,000 to 14,000 pounds, includes small walk-in vans and cargo vans or cutaway boxes for light parcel delivery.
I'm okay with just
I think.
if I were Mr. Curran, I would just prefer to call up my distributor and say, I have a space requirement. I just need you to please deliver.
Yep.
If I'm not saying that this is the way you should approach it, but if his vendors don't do that, then, how is it on him? I mean,
Right.
he made the request. He's following what's supposed to. If somebody complains, then, we follow up on it, or we say Raymond, Don Raymond follows up on it.
Okay.
But I mean, in my opinion, he's doing what he needs to do to meet the requirements. That's just me talking out loud, but.
Okay, so that's 1, that's 2. I'm gonna just move on. I think we've got at least a structure that we could move forward on in terms of utilizing 1 parking spot.
But wait, did you have something, Wayne?
Oh,
Yeah, the other key thing is like gross vehicle weight, less than 26,000 pounds. At that 26,000 pounds and less, they don't have to have a commercial driver's license, so that's that smaller truck that I'm talking about. And then you have your other standards that you're setting up.
Can a private road be posted by Raymond for weight limits?
No, but Raymond Hill Road will be.
I was curious if his road would be, because I mean, if it's not posted, then we wouldn't have to really worry about the weight.
Yeah. But they can't get there anyways because Raymond Hill Road, so.
Oh,
what's the threshold on the post? Is it 26,000
No,
pounds?
it's either 10 or 14.
Okay.
I can't remember.
I think it's 20,000 pounds.
Oh,
Oh,
20,000.
They post our street.
there you go.
Yeah. I don't know. I think. I think the dimensions are the right way to go. I think
Yeah,
the
I agree.
posting, not posting, roads can change. The delivery vehicle, the hazard's going to be, in my mind, more correlated to the size of the vehicle than the mass of the vehicle.
agreed.
I'd like to focus on that. Okay, so I'm going to just say we got 1 is J plus the memorandum, limited to wine and malt liquor. 2 is the delivery vehicle in one of the 9-foot parking spots in front. And then I have in my notes. Well, what do you guys want to do about water? Just say that you have water. I mean, to me, it's the heat. There's sort of related problems here. Like he's got to have heat to keep.
No,
It would-
not according to him.
Well, okay, if you're storing wine.
He's gonna want.
I think you're going to want heat. So I guess what I'm saying is I don't think it'd be a tremendous burden to say that you have to have some water, whether it be, like you said, a jug, a cooler, office cooler. The needs are quite low in terms of potable water. I mean, I don't think he can clean up with a hose if he needs to. So I just think you got to have some source of water.
But does he? Does he need us, outside of a source of water, does he need to have potable water, do you think?
Well, I don't. I'm trying to synthesize all the inputs that I recall.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to get consensus on a motion that doesn't have that. So I'd love to I'd love to hear Tom say that he's okay with no potable water
In the garage.
in the garage.
But access to it in the residence?
Access in the residence. If you guys are okay with that, I definitely am. Okay.
I'm okay.
So let's just move on.
Are you gonna add bathroom to that? I don't mean to interject.
No.
but- Okay, just
No.
potable.
Yep. We're not going to put a condition on water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
Porta potty.
No, I can't do that.
No. He's
Okay.
good.
They're gonna be able
You
to
guys-
drink water there and have
Yeah.
a bathroom. He meets. I
Yeah,
think that's
and
what
he
I'm saying.
can use the residence for that. Yeah. And that's going. Yeah, I think materially moved into clarity for to the beginning of the meeting on this. So, so 1, 2. I think the. There was the mention of continued operations. I don't know how you define that. I personally am not super worried about. This is a pretty unique business. Like, I'm not super worried about this perpetuating generationally into, several different landowners. I know it's a possibility. I just want to bring it up because it was mentioned. I'll just maybe take the temperature of a condition on that.
You're talking more about the expiration of it? 'Cause-
Well, I wrote
What we're
down
leading to?
continued operations, meaning that, like, let's just say it starts and fails, and 20 years later somebody wants to start up the same business. Do we want to revisit? Do we want to basically put a condition that would force us to revisit that?
I don't mind exploring the concept of having something where it expires after X number of years of non-use.
How would you prove that, though, if they're using it or not? That'd be something easy to prove.
Yeah, that's sort of where I was at.
So
I mean, they'd have to prove it with their business paperwork, if they can provide that, then, because we do have some people who every year they show up with their papers because they have a non-conforming use, but they want to continue that use, so every year or every 2 years, I can't remember if it's every year or every 2 years, I think every 2 years they have to come in and kind of show that they're continuing what they're doing.
I guess the other piece to it is, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that it would make sense to me if you had a property for which a home occupation or any other conditional use has been approved, that could, but,
You could market it
add
as such.
value to
Yeah,
that.
Yep.
So, and I don't know if,
Here's what I actually put down in terms of, Jess, your point on, like, how do you do this? And my guess is he's going to be fine with this. I mean, he's not here. I don't know, but like, there's a lot of things he's volunteered, so I'm kind of using that as sort of a baseline.
I think his words were whatever you want.
Yeah. So fair. I just think we could make it maybe non-transferable so it can't be transferred to a new business.
So a condition if it changes ownership.
Change of control, basically. It doesn't. That would kind of eliminate the traditional carries with the land. Still, we've been given pretty broad capabilities to add conditions to these things, so I don't foresee that as actually something we can't do. I wrote it down here as a note to bring up. So
so you're saying, like, if you own the property and you sold it to me, I would automatically be excluded from
expires. Yeah.
expired,
Yeah.
So expires on change of ownership.
Yep.
I like that.
To me, that seems reasonable. I mean, much more easily enforceable, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, that's just objectively speaking. You can come in and say, do you are you?
Check the tax card.
Yeah, exactly.
I do like the idea of that.
Yeah, if you're not Chris Curran, sorry, Chris. Okay, and then he's offered a bunch of commitments, binding conditions. Is there anything you don't want? I mean,
So I do have a question for Jason. Like, one of them is, in that list is, he said he won't have any outside signage. Well, it's already a step in the process to get the home. So do we need to give a condition that says you can't do this when it's already something you can't do as part of the home occupation? I mean, because he said, one of the conditions you can give me is no outside display of
Yep.
signage.
Yep.
But it doesn't seem we need to condition it because it's already excluded for the fact that it would be an approved home occupation. An approved home occupation says you can't have outdoor signage.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah,
I don't think, yeah, I think it kind of is already covered, is that what, if that's.
yeah, basically, yeah, I don't want to add conditions for something that's already,
And he'd have to get a sign permit anyways, unless, I guess he could have labeling on a vehicle. Then it becomes kind of a question of, if he
Oh,
parks
I
his
see what
car
you're
up by the
saying.
yard.
actually, yeah, I guess.
But I think there's only 8 houses beyond him. So, as from an advertising standpoint, I think that putting a sign up there
He's
is
And it's online.
it's not gonna exactly propel sales.
Well, that's actually is a good point. It says there is no exterior sign except as expressly permitted. So I guess there is a potential that signage could be added. So if we feel strongly that no signage should be there, then.
Well, he's volunteered the condition on himself. He's self kind of conditioning. Just to enumerate them here: delivery only operation, no customer access to the property. All sales transaction completed online prior to fulfillment. No exterior signage. No exterior storage. No exterior business indicators. Distributor deliveries on scheduled weekdays during normal daytime business hours.
You like that?
All operation conducted within the existing accessory structure. I think David doesn't believe that.
I'll follow up on that.
Okay, we'll just move on. Maximum operational footprint not exceeding 20% of the dwelling. I mean, that's phase 1. The 20%, but 20% slightly more than 120 square feet. So we're fine there. Maximum 2 non-family employees per 309-9.2, obviously, and then annual reporting to code enforcement for the first 2 years. These seem pretty like reasonable. I don't know why we wouldn't include them, if
Yeah, they're his rules.
he's volunteering now. I know he said that AI made this, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's what he said.
Are we also gonna put a limitation on the number of box trucks or whatever per month, or are we okay with?
I don't know that we can, because, I mean,
That'll be
it's the
tough.
whole size and
I think the
scope.
square footage is a really good proxy.
No, I'm just asking.
Yeah, okay,
I'm saying
yeah.
we have to do it, I'm
Yeah.
just asking.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Tom.
Yeah.
I do know there was some discussion about spillage and having some type of dam there. I don't know if that's something that you guys want to include.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I feel like.
Sorry, guys.
I thought I saw something in Wayne's.
Yeah, it's also too.
Spill protection for containers larger than 10 gallons. I thought I saw something with ceiling doors.
Well, this came up when we were discussing something that we've already moved on. We've already agreed with.
Sorry to reopen.
First of all, who are you?
Just trying to make sure all your bases are
I'm
covered.
just messing with you.
Yeah, I see this pass. Seal unapproved openings with
Yeah.
approved materials. That was my biggest thing is
Yeah.
I just want to
Yeah.
avoid any leakage.
Yeah. Okay, so the material, I don't think we necessarily have a condition that will satisfy this, other than we could potentially look at C. David, I just give you that you want to.
I will, yes, but I will point you back to what we just discussed, his conditions, right? So he laid out his conditions, one of which is all operations conducted within the existing accessory structure. Now, if you flip the page by 2, there's operations at the property, one of which is loading orders into the licensed delivery vehicle for office.
Where are you?
It's page 5.
Oh, page 5.
So page 3 for the condition, all operations conducted within the existing accessory structure. Then you flip to page 5, and one of his operations is loading the orders into
Yeah.
the license. If that's the case, I am good.
Show me specifically.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, right there. That's one of his operations. And his condition is all operations.
Okay.
So, to me, that would make me totally happy.
Okay. Well,
There's one more thing. Do you want to add if any expansion would have to come back to the ZBA?
he's limited to 120 square feet, and he's limited to the memorandum with the fire department.
Ooh, what if the scope changes in the type of liquor license? Should it be
Well,
limited?
we have it limited to wine and malt liquor, 120 square feet of wine and malt liquor.
Okay, maybe do we need to, I'm so sorry, scattered thought. Do we need to mention class 7 and class 6 to sort of confirm what we're saying? Or I don't really know. It's just if he wants to add some other aspect to this, like he said he has to have some sort of grocery aspect to this. I'm not 100% sure what that looks like, and liquor license may say you need to do this to really accommodate that. I don't know. I don't want to restrict him in a way that we didn't.
I'm fine just saying 120 square feet of inventory. And he has to have a license for whatever, this is, I think your point is well taken. We're way out of our expertise on what's wine, what's malt liquor, what is, a plant that can be, I just think it's 120 square feet of, there's already laws that say he can't store stuff that he shouldn't be storing. If it's a controlled substance, for instance, or it's a class 1, now that I learned what that means, liquid, there's already rules and regulations, I guess my point is, so maybe we just don't restrict it and say 120 square feet of inventory. Are you okay with that?
That works
You guys
fine
think,
for
you
me.
guys like that?
I like that.
I like that a lot.
Okay, that's just,
Opens him up to do
yeah,
whatever he needs to
I think
do.
it's a really good point. Okay, I've got 4 conditions. I'm just gonna go back through them top to bottom real quick. 1, condition that satisfies 300-9.1J, basically in accordance to Wayne's approval from Wayne and the fire department, with a sort of emphasis on the memorandum, or an addition to that cites the memorandum that is in place is going to be put in place and agreed upon with the fire department. 120. This is conditioned to 120 square feet of inventory on the first floor. It is conditioned on the delivery vehicles using one of his parking spots in front of the structure, the 9 foot by 30 foot in a 9 foot by 30 foot area. I don't know if we want to put the dimensions in there or not in the condition. Parking spot, is you said, is already defined,
It in the ordinances, yeah.
so probably don't need to put the dimensions. It's
Yeah.
not transferable.
Oh, yeah.
And then we will include all of Chris's operational commitments offered as they are in his own executive summary in page 3, executive summary 1.3. I listed them earlier. I'm not going to list them again. Given those conditions, would we like to entertain a motion to approve this?
Do we need to say something about getting a state license or multiple licenses?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's just the next step in his.
I think he needs this to go get it. So
Yeah, no, that,
yeah,
we're doing this, but we also have the fire
Yeah.
thing, and I assume he has to pass all the fire stuff in
Well-
order to get the state license, so are we okay, or?
I'm okay. I think the reason why the fire stuff is in here is because it's specifically called out as J,
Yeah.
right? There's, I think, an implied condition that he just, whether he gets a conditional use or not, that state law applies to his use of his residence. I mean, I don't think we need an extra condition that says he needs to obey state and federal law.
Yeah. 'Cause I think, Tom, like, even if we approve the home occupation, it can't happen if the state comes in, reviews and says this isn't gonna work,
Right,
then it
yeah.
can't happen.
Yeah, and he might be wrong about the license. I think, like, it might be a different license we don't know about. You know, there could be some
Yeah.
things that the state's gonna certainly have some things to say about this. Or the county, I guess, is the.
Well, I wonder if
There's probably a whole litany of additional licenses.
would a wholesaler even sell it to him if he wasn't licensed?
Probably not.
Hmm.
Resale, he
I
needs
can't
resale. Yeah.
I do have one question, hopefully that Jason can answer. So we have this potential condition of not being transferable when the property's sold.
Mhm.
Is that legal for us to do you think? That's my biggest concern, because it's if
I
it
was,
sticks with the
I
property.
thought about that too, and then I keep going back, you know, you're putting the conditions on there, so,
Just-
I don't,
Oh,
I looked at the conditional uses, I didn't see anything in there that said you couldn't, you know? But it is a good question.
I don't have all the ordinances. with me.
Ultimately, if you put it in there, the only way it's gonna get challenged is if the next guy comes in and wants to act on that conditional use permit, then, if somebody came in and asked me, I'd say just apply for a new conditional use, you know, can follow the same guidelines.
Or do we make it,
I mean, just to be clear, I'd vote with the conditions that we have, without that. I just putting it there because there was a lot of concerns around the longevity, like the nature of this use is sort of to get this proof of concept and like get this on the ground, and then we end up with a property with this approved conditional use that just kind of goes on forever, and I think that gave people a lot of cause for concern.
given the current scope of it, you know, I don't mind if 120 square foot, I shouldn't say I don't mind, I don't believe that if 120 square foot home occupation transferred for the, we've already approved it once, I don't see why I can't go on to the next person. I'm kind of,
Okay.
I feel okay with that.
Okay.
It's if all of a sudden it became the whole garage, there's something about that that's like, okay, do we really, should we
Okay.
give this some extra consideration?
All right. Point well taken. So then,
That's all.
I think hopefully, Chris, as you expand, you'll come back and maybe we need to do something like that in the future.
Yeah.
Right. But at this point,
That's different.
phase one, no need to attach that
In my opinion.
condition.
Agreed.
Tom?
Yeah, I'm okay.
All right, so then let me just reiterate, we've got one, which is J, plus the memorandum, phase one, 120 square feet of inventory. That's the first condition. Second condition is delivery must occur in one of the 3 parking spots in front of the primary structure or the accessory structure, wholly in one, so entirely in one. 3, since we deleted 3, we have all the operational commitments per 1.3 of the applicant's executive summary. Given those conditions, do we have a motion to approve the conditional use?
Yes, with a slight tweak.
Okay.
I agree with all the conditions that he specified. I would just ask that we add what are the operational phases and just include that, you know, these are the operational phases.
Do we know that?
What's that?
Do we know what phase 2 and 3 is?
No, I'm sorry, not, what did I say, phases?
Yeah,
Did
it's
I
in
say
phases,
that
that's
right?
right.
Yeah.
The operational aspects of this, I apologize.
That's okay.
There was a condition that he would self-impose that all aspects of the operation happen within the building. I think we just need to clarify that you outlined that these are the operations that you said were to be included in the, I just don't want there to be any question as to what the operations are. Because personally, I'm approving, I would lend my approval to this based on a clear definition of what the operations are.
Well, let me push back on that just slightly, because we can't, procedurally, can we approve something without, like, if you're asking for him to itemize, and what if he itemizes something that we don't agree with in his operations?
Oh, no, I'm just doing it based on his application. That was all.
Well, he says all. I mean, you could, this is actually good.
Okay.
Because, in my mind, because it actually absolves our it basically dissolves our disagreement.
I get it.
And if somebody has a problem with what he's doing, the condition is all, and Jason can figure out if it's,
Yeah.
if the threshold is this many minutes outside, you know, like,
I'm good with that.
okay?
Yeah.
Like,
I
I'm
like
in
that.
principle, I think that
I think
covers.
that works really
Yeah,
good.
okay.
Yep, I like it.
All right. Want me to run it back one more time, or does we have a motion to approve the conditional use application with the additional conditions of 300 land use from the land use ordinances 300-9.1J, that the use may be that the applicant must adhere to all the requests and now I'm screwing this up. Help me out, somebody.
How about this?
Where are we going?
I'm just wondering if you could just say that, that the application has been reviewed and approved by the fire.
Okay.
Like
Let me just read Jay.
Yeah, let's read it out loud.
Just give me
Sounds
1
good.
second.
Yep.
I'd actually just like to read it myself.
Yeah. you do.
Okay. So the motion, I'm just going to articulate it to see
How
if I
about, yeah, how about you not make the
I'm not
motion,
making
but.
it. I'm
yeah,
just,
okay.
I'm just trying to articulate what I think it could be, and then if somebody wants to make that motion, I'm hoping that we can get consensus around this. So bear with me a second, gentlemen. So the motion to approve the conditional use application with the following conditions, that the applicant must adhere to all fire and safety codes and ordinances as stated in 300-9.1J. And I guess that's needs to be approved by the fire department, by the fire rescue department. Condition 2, the delivery must occur in one of the parking spots in front of the accessory structure. The third condition is to attach all of the applicant's operational commitments offered as binding conditions of approval on page 3 of the applicant's executive summary. Would anybody like to?
Maybe I.
Guys, before you make that an actual motion, you don't want to have something that doesn't show the conditions. So if that's what you want, I will include the conditions that he offered on page 3 listed separately.
Yeah,
Is that good for you?
exactly. I want to I don't want to enumerate all of his conditions. I just want to say we are adopting all of his conditions that he said in his executive summary.
Right, but we will enumerate them in
Yes.
this motion when I do your minutes, and it'll be in your findings.
If you'd like, I mean, I'm not sure, because this is part of the record, right? Do you think it's needed? I think you're muted, Sandy.
I hit the button again, apparently. But the thing is, Greg, nobody's going to go back in 5 years and look to see what that was.
No?
No.
Could it be like an appendix?
Yeah, however you think it best to memorialize it, I'm happy to enumerate them here, but if you think it's better to memorialize it in line on
Well, you don't need to, as long as I know you want me to list them out.
yeah,
The
Okay.
the bottom of
Okay.
page 3.
yeah,
Yes.
Sandy, you know, if this gets approved with these specific conditions, when I write it up, I will specifically list the conditions that I see on
Right,
that
that's
page
what
three.
but that's what I'm saying. We want it in both.
Right, yeah, I agree. It has to be in the decision as well as in the minutes, right? That's what
Yes.
you're yeah, I agree.
Yes.
100%,
Yes.
yeah.
You don't have to sit there and reiterate them now.
Yep.
I just wanted confirmation of that.
Yeah, and the video provides confirmation subsequent that
Correct, because we've been talking
we
about
talked
it.
about it out loud already. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
So Greg, you said 3, right?
yeah.
Did we skip over the
we missed-
120 square
we did.
foot lower level use?
Yeah, I did on that last one. Yeah. So I'll do it again.
So now it's 4?
No, I have that as, I have J plus the memorandum, and that phase 1 includes 120 square feet of inventory
In the basement level.
at the basement.
Basement level.
Yeah. Do you think that should be a 4?
I think it should be separate than
Okay.
buried under the fire.
Okay,
and-
so what we'll do is we'll pull that out as a 4th. I don't mind that. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I think that's good.
I still want to call out the memorandum in phase 1
Yep. I
in
agree.
J, because it's like,
It's even listed in his comments, so he talks about the memorandum and a little bit up here, so.
Okay.
But it's just a comment, so there's not like a,
yeah,
3 phases.
memorandum, yeah, we're just gonna say the conditions are, so we're gonna just articulate what hypothetical motion could be, to approve the conditional use, with the additional conditions that the use is reviewed and approved by the fire rescue department for compliance with their safety codes, and this is from 300-9.1J, plus the memorandum that has been stated, and only for phase 1 that is part of the multi-phase rollout. Okay, that's the additional condition number 1. Second condition is that the delivery must occur in one of the parking spots in front of the accessory structure. Condition number 3 is that we are approving, this is up to 120 square feet of inventory on the first floor, in the basement first floor level. And the 4th condition is, I'm not going to read them all right here, but I'm referencing the executive summary from the applicant's own executive summary under 1.3, operational commitments offered as binding conditions of approval. We want to include all of those. Would anybody like to?
Can I just fine tune one little peek for Sandy's? Because we talked about,
I'll let you say it this time.
no, the 120 square feet of the lower level of for wine and malt liquor storage.
No.
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 We thought we should open that up to just inventory. That way, if he, like, we're not 100% sure what the liquor licensing requires. We've heard it mentioned that it's
Yeah,
going
you
to
might wanna
require
put
some
water.
inventory,
Merchandise,
merchandise.
beer glass.
Glasses.
Yeah, stuff
So
like
he-
Somewhere.
Yeah.
We want to be able to make sure that all the inventory itself is restricted to a certain amount. He has access to other areas of the garage for assembly
Prep and-
and
yeah.
prep, whatever he needs to do, business ops. But the inventory itself, beer, the wine, and whatever,
We're approving a conditional use
yeah.
for wine and whatever, as he states up here. Where did we put that?
Well, that's the conditional use. That's in home occupation, private service, membership, wine fulfillment.
That's what I'm saying. Somewhere we have to put that in the language that we're approving.
Well, we're,
These are the extra conditions.
right, but the motion, my understanding is what we're approving is this application. So the application
Yeah.
is for a home occupation, private membership, wine fulfillment service. Do you want to change that?
As long as Sandy's got it.
Well, it's in the application.
Yeah, but she has to type something up.
She types up the minutes. I type up the decision.
You need anything else, Sandy, on the approval, you think, to clarify what we're approving? I mean, I'm happy to reference the definition of the business that
No,
we
it
agreed
sounds-
on in the beginning.
It sounds fine, because like you say, you're approving the application submitted by
Yeah.
Christopher Curran with the following conditions, and then we'll set them out.
Okay.
I feel like there's something I was going to say, but I kind of want to make you say it all over again.
So right now, I'm just seeing if somebody wants to make that motion. If not, I'm happy to take feedback on it, or if somebody has a different motion they'd like to make.
Greg, I'll make that motion.
All right.
That's fine.
Is there procedural problem?
No, it's okay. I'll just talk about it out loud so we can just say, in the fire department write-up, it's talked about a basement level and a first floor, and the first floor is at level with the road. In our sidewalk report, first floor was basement, second floor was street level.
David, I already clarified it to first
Oh.
floor basement.
Oh, perfect. Well, thank you
Yeah.
very much. Yeah, that's the only thing. I
Welcome.
just,
Did I misspeak? I thought
no, you didn't
basement.
misspeak. You
Okay.
did not
I wrote
misspeak.
down lower level.
Yeah, there's just multiple levels,
Okay.
and we've talked about it, and findings of fact have it listed in different ways.
Okay.
I just
So
want
there's
clarity.
there's a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Discussion?
Yeah, I think I'm good.
I'm good.
Jess?
Good here.
Pete? Any discussion?
No, I'm good.
All right, I'm good. So then we'll do a roll call vote. All those in favor of the motion to approve Chris Curran's application for conditional use? Start over there.
Yeah, David Murch, yes.
Greg Dean, yes.
Tom Hennessy, yes.
Jess McConkey, yes.
Pete Lockwood, yes.
All right. Do you want me to take us out, or you want to hand it back to you?
I'm just gonna, I'll take it over. I shouldn't do that. I will not take it over. I will just, but I do want to say, Sandy, just to confirm the process, correct, you will send an email to Mr.
I will
And-
do a letter and send it to him via email and in mail.
And then I will work towards coming up with the decision. I will provide that to you. Under
Yeah.
what time frame?
As soon as you can get to it.
Okay, if it's as soon as I can get to it 3 weeks from now acceptable, or is that unacceptable?
I
just-
don't see
I mean-
why not, because he can start doing his other applications once he gets the letter.
Okay,
That's why we switched to that.
right. I just want to make sure, because we typically, use the next meeting as a way to talk about it and sign off on it.
Which you won't have to have unless you want to do it for that,
Got it.
because nothing else came in on Friday. But I was waiting to see what happened tonight before I told you that.
Okay, so the option then, the alternative then to having the meeting is for me to prepare it, and then what, submit it to you
Send it
as a
to
draft?
me. Send it to me. I'll send it to everybody for their review. and then if anybody has any comment, they send it to me, I'll let you know, and then if it's substantive, we go back to you guys discussing.
So
You'd have to have a meeting to discuss that.
do we need to then, it would have to be signed off on, so do we still need to schedule the meeting and then potentially cancel it? Because it still has to be provided within a certain
I won't mark
timeframe.
it, I won't mark it canceled on the calendar.
Okay. Because I think that we're still under what, the 45-day, or there's, I believe
But
there's.
that, them getting the letter from me is what starts that 45-day clock.
Yeah, and, oh, is there any time frame on him actually getting the decision itself?
No.
Oh, okay. I ignore some of what I was saying then. Okay, I think I am.
It's getting late, we're all getting
It
punchy.
sure is, so I'm
Borrow
gonna
your
shift.
agenda.
What's that?
Do you have your agenda?
do.
I don't, I want to make sure I don't. Okay, so that concludes the old business. We'll move to staff communications. Jason?
So, and Sandy, I think that handout refers to what Glenn was talking about when we spoke with the lawyers about removing, changing the appeals for notice of violations instead of appealing it to the ZBA, taking that straight to Superior Court. That's something Glenn approached me with. I think he's gonna talk to the
Right.
select board about that on Thursday. But I think he wanted you all to be informed on that and kind of, so you could, voice your opinions on that.
Can you repeat again, what is it looking to modify or change?
Just change the appeals process for violations, notice of violations. Instead of appealing to you guys, it goes straight to Superior Court.
Gotcha.
Kind of like they changed planning board decisions no longer get appealed to you. That goes right to Superior Court.
I gotcha. I like that idea. I do have a question though. Having it go to the ZBA, was that more of a Raymond thing, or was that more driven at the state level at one point? You know the history behind it as to why it comes to the ZBA?
Right now,
Yeah.
I'm not sure why.
Okay.
I know that I've heard colloquially, I can't get that word out, that a lot of ZBA decisions that are going to Superior Court, they're kicking them back to the ZBA. I imagine that's because they're just so busy. So this may kind of streamline some of that, and they wouldn't be able to kick it back. It'd be one and done type of deal, or
Yep.
if not, say want to escalate. I think I think Glenn, he just thought it might be a smoother process.
Yeah.
But I don't want to speak for him.
Yeah.
And David, it's not specific to Raymond that they were coming to you. They always did in Casco too, but I believe they've changed that since I'm not there, since I left,
Yep.
which is what I meant, not since it's, had nothing to do with me being there.
Yeah.
So is that
Didn't want you to think that.
is
I
that
did
the
not.
norm now?
I'm not sure. I'd have to ask around. I haven't. It was just presented to me recently, so.
It's just to be honest, I think that is a pretty, it potentially could be perceived as both perception and in practice could be a pretty meaningful change in due process for people. The threshold to go take something to Superior Court's quite high. I'm not so sure I'm super in favor of it as a.
That's the one thing I was thinking of. too.
Like, if I got an NOV, it's relatively easy to come in and this is sort of can bounce it around, check it a little bit
Yep.
with a lower threshold of cost. And so my only concern there would be that stuff just doesn't get appealed,
Yep.
which if there's no real appeal process, that's a pretty big due process change. So that's the only thing I would call out. I'm sure it's been taught. I'm sure that's,
And that's exactly the
Yeah,
conversation.
I'm sure that's part of it, yeah.
It's exactly the situation.
yeah.
But ultimately, it'd go to the voters.
Yep,
Which
yep,
is
yep.
great. Probably my favorite thing about town
that's true.
government. It's
Yep.
my favorite and the thing I hate the most. So, but it ultimately, when it's funny because people always call them my ordinances when they call them. No, you voted on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think about a lot of the stuff, our late nights were driven by NOVs, and that's a lot of lawyer stuff, and then we had to get our own, there's a lot of town expense, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And I can see where that can help alleviate it, but I 100% see what Greg is saying too, because I think
Yeah.
of some of them out of common, it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, to me, that's a financial burden on someone that's, it's a good way to have them to be, they're financially forced into
Yeah.
it when, so I lean toward, same as Greg, I would prefer them to come to us just for that very reason.
It's not like I want to. It's not like we want to do the
Yeah.
the
Right, you're not getting paid for it.
marathon. It's just good.
And
Yeah.
right now, with NOVs, there's a time limit on us to respond, right? And a time limit for them to write an
Yeah.
appeal.
Yeah,
Send it to Superior Court, could be years, right?
yeah, absolutely.
So what are you gonna do about the NOV in that time frame between a court decision and
Yeah.
issue stop works like we did once, if I know of?
Yeah, stepping out of the board seat here,
Yeah,
I definitely would like to be able to appeal to an appellate board like this
oh, yeah.
versus a superior court.
Yep.
Like I like it just like in general, I'm not sure that like the guiding principle here should be to streamline the way we kind of issue violations and if they cost the town money, that's part of the I mean, that's just part of having ordinances and that puts an awful big burden on somebody to appeal.
Yeah, I agree.
I know you're not. It's not you. I'm not arguing with you about it.
I'm used to it at this
Yeah.
point, that whole,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know it's not directed.
Yeah. Just to clarify, I just wanted to get
My big question would be the whole time delay in the process.
Right,
What are you gonna do for a year or two while it sits and waiting
Right.
for Superior Court?
right. We kind of trading off, and we're gonna try and be fighting for injunctions and stuff like that. Have the court or restraining orders or whatnot. It's so.
Yeah, if somebody doesn't have enough money, they're losing the second the NOV shows up. Let's be honest, it's practically what's going to happen to 90% of the NOVs.
I would agree.
I would agree.
Right? Like, why would we? This is actually, the more we talk about it, it actually seems, this seems against everybody's best interest.
Yeah,
So.
I don't know.
agreed. So
I
you need
just like to
feedback.
see the NOVs get resolved.
It's not like we're
shorter
inundated with
order.
NOVs, Like,
Yeah. This seems like it would lengthen the process rather than,
that's a fair point too.
I don't.
Because then it would go. Would they still come back to they still be? They wouldn't go back down to the ZBA at all, right?
They wouldn't be able to.
They'd just be done.
It would be because there would be no process for that.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
If you eliminated at least for
Yeah.
violations.
Yeah. Okay.
And are any other towns doing this?
I think.
Because Superior Court must be
Sandy said
getting
yes.
backlogged, the more towns do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling probably, if I was going to guess, I'd say probably towns are probably going to move in that direction just because of the costs. They can be costly not to, but
Man, though, if you're talking about injunctions and constraint, or like restraint, but like, yeah, you may reduce the average cost, but the maximum cost is going to go, like that one that somebody does fight's going to go through the roof. Anyway, anything else?
no, I mean I was looking through the, just because we're on conditional uses, I did peek at like Lewiston. They do kind of have a sunset in their conditional use. You have to act on it in 6 months, kind of like a planning board approval. Then after 2 years, if it's discontinued, it stops. I could be something we could talk about, at the planning board level, is adding something like that into our ordinances, because, I see a situation. What if somebody got a conditional use permit for something kind of exotic? 20 years later, somebody finds it in their file. And they're
Totally.
like, hey, I want to,
Totally.
I want to sell, Gabon vipers out of my house because this guy was able to do it 20 years ago. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, that's probably a bad example. You probably can't sell those in Maine anyways.
I do like the idea of bringing that to the planning board, because at least then they have to talk out loud about it and potentially goes to the public for feedback too, so. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's the direction, that's the direction I'd advocate for, is like easier to approve, easier to vacate. Right? like, you know, like if somebody wants to do something, not necessarily like forever is a long time.
Well, then we need to
You know,
track
like,
it too. What if, you know, I mean, now it's easier with, you know, stuff is kind of accessible digitally, but like, sometimes you gotta go through a file that thick, and then all of a sudden you find a conditional approval from 1986,
Yes.
and it's like, okay, now it changes everything that you read through the file.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
I have one quick question, sorry.
Go ahead.
Does Glenn expect anything from us officially, or how's it, is Glenn? I know
No,
Glenn wanted you to give this to us,
Yep.
ask us about it, but is it just gonna stay
No.
here?
I think he
How's it
just
gonna work
wanted to
together?
get, you know, bring you guys up to speed on what was going on.
I got you.
It'll be discussed at, I believe, at the next, I think he's gonna talk about it at the next select board meeting.
I got you.
See
Hey,
if-
you can watch the last 10 minutes of our meeting.
That's true.
No, Glenn, you got to watch the whole thing, dude. You
Yeah,
can't.
yeah.
We should disable that fast forward button.
Yeah. So you get the full impact.
You want to?
Nope.
All right. So that's it. We have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Chairman,
Oh, wait a minute.
Yes, Wayne.
I have a question. So we had that recent, conditional approval. Do you need me to report back to you on our findings, or are you all set?
The sales and service there down the road?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, I believe it needs to be reported back to Sandy so she can complete her files, because your report was a condition, one of our conditions. So I don't think she could even issue the permit without it, so. As long as Sandy has everything she needs and the business owners have everything they need, then I personally don't think we need anything further, but I'm gonna let Sandy be the final word to it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
We'll put it in to complete the file.
Okay.
Anything else? No. All right. Motion to. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
In a second.
Second. Approved. Roll
Oh,
call.
yeah, sorry, yeah, I approve. Yes, please.
Yes.
All right.